Today I'd like to introduce you to an exceptionally pathetic man, and that is underselling just how sad of a guy this is. Shit stains in a porta potty are less pitiful than the guy you're about to see. He's a coach for an indoor youth flag football league, and during a game recently, he didn't like a call the ref made, so he stormed off in a violent temper tantrum, and on his way out, sucker punched one of the spectators because he didn't like the way he looked at him. That's like some shit you'd read in a comic book from a dumb, goofy fucking villain. But instead, it happened in the real world because this guy's a coward, and he was this upset and twisted about a flag football league for kids. What a tough guy, huh? Don't tussle with a lack of muscle, am I right? I also love that the guy is the same height as the 12-year-olds playing in the youth flag football league. This guy can just look them in the eyes. He was probably upset because the ref accidentally confused him for a player or something. I mean, it's an honest mistake. You can tell by his height that it could get confusing if he has, like, you know, maybe a flag in his hand or something. But yeah, anyway, he storms off, fee-fi-foing his way back into the locker room, and then on his way, he doesn't like the cut of that guy's jib. He sees him cracking a little smirk, so then he cooks up his little wet noodle sucker punch and delivers one right on the kisser. Let me just go ahead and say this for the millionth time. If you deliver a sucker punch, if you throw a sucker punch, you are no longer a man. You lose any and all respect for everyone. At least you should. Very rarely can you justify a sucker punch. The only time a sucker punch should ever be utilized is if you're fucking saving someone's life, or you're gonna be like an actual war hero, you know, saving the entire world or something. I also love that he had to punch upwards in order to deliver his sucker punch. They chose a guy that is significantly taller than him. If you deliver a sucker punch, you're a pussy, you're a coward, and you suck ass. And this guy's so short he could probably suck that dude's ass standing up. It is some sad shit, especially over an indoor flag football league for kids. But then afterwards, Pandora's box is open, all hell breaks loose, Hulkmania is running wild. I half expected this to turn into that old Australian skit where the guy's just like slapping moms and children at a birthday party. I thought that's what was going to happen, but instead, he gets dogpiled and runs away. Luckily, the guy who got hit by this man's wet noodle of a punch went to the authorities, and they're investigating, pressing charges for assault and battery on the guy, which I think is wonderful. That's the good ending to this Telltale video game. Usually, I'm not on the side of the tattletale who goes to the hall monitor, you know, like, hey, authorities, this guy bumped my shoulder when we were walking by each other, I'd like to press charges, you know. Typically, I'm like, you know what, handle the beef, just square up and let it be that. But this is such a different ballpark. This is a sucker punch A, and B, at a fucking youth flag football game in front of a bunch of kids. It's actually heartbreaking listening to that kid cry and beg to leave because they're so scared of that maniac, that psychopath. So this is a totally different level, and he completely deserves the charges. He's a complete loser. He's a piece of shit. Now, what's even crazier is, according to parents, he's not the only coach that does this shit, like, that has this kind of temper. Apparently, they have a problem with a bunch of other coaches in this league. So this is a question to the parents. Just fucking, why do you have your kids in the league? Just pull them out. I'm sure there's other flag football leagues out there. Just get them away from this facility. I don't know what kind of coaches they're recruiting over there. Like, well, I don't know what they think they're doing. It's youth flag football. They're not making super soldiers for the U.S. military. Like, it's not boot camp. It's fucking kids playing flag football. I don't know why they're so angry. The coaches and shit, I don't get it. You know? Maybe it's just like trying to reclaim glory, where they think if they do well in the flag football league, the kids will grow up to be in the NFL, and they'll want to bring their flag football coach when they were 12 with them to the big leagues or something as their agent. I don't know. It's like this crazy delusion. I never really understood why adults and coaches that coach kids get so angry at these things here. It makes no sense. Yeah, but anyway, I just wanted to share all this with you because this was mind-boggling to me that someone like this even exists out there. And you already know this tough guy went home to brag about this on Facebook, made a status, had to put a little discipline into a parent tonight at the old Pee Wee Flag Football League. Don't disrespect me again. Now he knows. Hashtag combat fighter. Or something hardcore, as he puts on his leather jacket and curls his 15-pound dumbbell while huffing down creatine. It's just some real goofy shit, man, and I just wanted to share it with all of you. That's about it, really. See ya. I've been using the word delusional a lot recently to describe some people and companies, and it's not because I think the words become watered down and I'm using it loosely. It's because I legitimately think more and more people are being infected with some brain rot that is making them more and more delusional and slipping deeper into lunacy. And I'd like to talk about one of the most maliciously stupid people on the planet. His name's Billy McFarland, and if that name and this picture look familiar to you, it's because this is the goober behind Fyre Festival, one of the most infamous scams of all time. I probably don't need to explain what that was. I'm sure all of you have seen the massive documentary about it, but I'll just go ahead and pull Billy's pants down and hit you with the truth. Fyre Festival was this over-promised event where it was called like the Coachella in the Bahamas. There was supposed to be a ton of celebrity performers, music, decadent food, just a glamorous, luxurious, expensive event that when it finally rolled around turned out to be worse than a Boy Scout camping adventure. People showed up after paying $1,500 up to $12,000 to be there, only to find the accommodations were FEMA tents and packaged sandwiches, and also no musical performers that they were promised. It was a complete joke. It was a scam. He defrauded many people, and Billy McFarland actually served 4 years in prison. He was originally sentenced to 6 years in 2018, but he served 4 and he's currently out of prison right now. And he is $26 million in debt because he has to repay all the victims, and he's hatched a genius idea on how to make that money back. He's hosting another Fyre Festival. I shit you not. I'm not making this up. I'm actually starting to believe in those tinfoil condom conspiracies about the government putting shungite and fluoride and 5G Wi-Fi signals in our toothpaste that are scrambling our noodles. Because that is the only thing that can explain this man's brain. His brain is this stinky soup of scams and bad ideas. Billy McFarland, being fresh out of prison, has openly stated that he is going to be throwing another festival. This time it's called Pirate. I'm not even making that up. He is calling it Pirate, a name that is synonymous with stealing. I mean, who remembers you wouldn't download a car? Anti-piracy shit. The whole idea behind pirates is stealing. Stealing the booty. And in this case, stealing your money for, once again, a remote island extravaganza. Billy McFarland has learned nothing. He went to jail for this same fucking thing, and he's doing it again. That is poetic. I couldn't imagine a character being written this stupid. No one would believe it. He is actually a real-life version of Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy, but instead of just saying buttered toast, the only thing that runs through this guy's absolutely damaged cranium is party. And he's not even good at partying. He doesn't even successfully have a party, ever. He's so fucking horrible at partying that he goes to jail when he tries. It blows my mind. I've watched 2 interviews of his since being fresh out of prison, and he is observably stupid. Listening to Billy McFarland defend himself and speak publicly is like listening to someone fart through a walkie-talkie for 30 minutes. It's just garbled nonsense that leaves his mouth. I probably can't show any of the interview clips, but here's one of the quotes from one of them. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they're like, you can crawl in a hole and die, or you can go and try to do something and just like not promise any results, McFarland said. You absolute goofball. He seems to believe that the reason he got spanked by the legal process is because he promised things that he wasn't able to deliver on. That's only a small component of it. It is so much more than that. You maliciously defrauded people, took $26 million, and delivered nothing. So by throwing this festival again and not promising anything, if you still just have people show up to a vacant, empty place to stand in sand for days, you're still scamming them, even if you didn't promise that fucking Cardi B's gonna perform or whatever. Yeah, like, I don't know why that's such a hard concept for him to understand. He's selling a festival, but what he delivered is basically a fucking pile of sand for people to stand in for a wildly high price. This would be like if I made a game and I charged $60 for it, like a AAA title, and then you bought the game, but the only thing there was just a completely empty, open terrain, Unity asset flip. There's nothing in it. You're in a giant empty bubble. Like, yeah, you know, technically this is a game. You bought it, now you're in that game. But you still got fucking scammed by me because there's really nothing there when you went under the assumption that there would be. Just let me rub your nose in this one more time. McFarlane insists it's not a festival. It features a slew of influencers and creators. The purported tropical experience will include virtual reality technology that the company says will allow users to participate and control what happens on the island in real time from home. Absolutely no shot. Who does this guy think he is? Tony Stark? Like, what do you mean? You already made this technology? You have an entire development studio behind you that made a virtual reality experience to control what happens on the island in real time? You slimy salamander, you couldn't deliver more than a handful of deli meat sandwiches to an island. How the fuck is anyone supposed to believe that you're going to deliver a virtual reality experience on an island and this time around it won't be a disaster? When you're promised, well, sorry, I won't use the P word, that's blasphemy around these parts when it comes to Billy McFarlane now. How are you insinuating that this might actually happen without being a complete catastrophe? I also can't believe he's making the bold-faced lie about influencers and creators signing on for this. There is no way. If any influencer or creator actually ties their name to this, it's career suicide. This is a bigger scam than CryptoZoo with Logan Paul. No one would recover from the pushback from their audience. They would be laughed off the internet if they actually tried promoting Pirate Festival here. There's just no way he has any connections to anyone, and there's no way anyone would actually sign on to this. If I'm wrong about that, and there actually is creators that sign on to this, you should know never to trust those people again going forward. That would be a massive red flag. That's a goddamn villain at that point. You probably don't even need to read the rest of this here, but I'll still put it on screen anyway. Former employees and people that were tight with Fyre Festival are warning about Billy, saying Billy's still Billy, he's using different words but selling the same thing. Similarities are there around the vague, mysterious promotion. Pirate appears to be an exercise in smoke and mirrors, buzzword and empty promises of lavish trips to the Bahamas. It's just everyone coming out to letting people know what should be obvious. Don't put money into Billy McFarlane or anything he dribbles out of his asshole. You're just asking to lose it. If you're considering getting tickets to Pirate Festival or investing, then I would strongly recommend seeking psychiatric evaluation for what's gone so awry in your life to lead you to making such recklessly awful financial decisions. That wad of cash that you're considering giving to Billy McFarlane and his production, I would highly encourage you to take it and just put it in your trash can, and then light the trash can on fire. That's a better use of it than giving it to Billy McFarlane. Oh yeah, I even forgot to mention, there's a treasure hunt that he's putting on as well with Pirate. So when you go to their website, it's all about this treasure hunt. So it's join the crew, a pirate is someone who turns the impossible into adventure. That's a pretty wild play on piracy, unless we're just talking about One Piece. Usually, pirate refers to, once again, stealing. And I guess treasure hunting. But usually at the expense of someone. Right now, the treasure Billy McFarlane is hunting for is a way out of $26 million in debt. And do you want to be his lifeline, his little life raft to get the fuck out of there? I certainly hope not. He doesn't deserve it. This idea is bad, so bad, that it should be considered criminal activity that he's even considering it and looking to actually put it on. Billy McFarlane is one of the biggest fraudsters in history, and he is looking to do it again. I guess he wasn't happy with being just one of the biggest fraudsters. He wants to be the biggest fraudster. So he's hoping lightning strikes twice with yet another bogus festival full of dog shit, empty promises, and under-delivering. To put it lightly, it didn't deliver at all. It wasn't under-delivering. It just never even came close to anything that he talked about. But this time around, he's not making huge promises and he's not on a strict deadline, so he's saying it's going to be totally different, which it won't be. There's absolutely no chance. So yeah, I just thought this was a pretty wacky story I wanted to share. That's about it. So yeah. Coming right out of the gate, no jokes, no memes. What's happening with Russia and Ukraine is absolutely terrifying. It's super scary shit, and my heart goes out to anyone affected by it. I know thoughts and prayers aren't exactly useful. You can't do anything with it except wipe your ass with it, but it's about all I can do. I really am wishing the best for anyone affected by the situation. Now, with all that being said, Twitter has somehow once again done what it does best and deliver the absolute worst possible takes and memes on the situation. And Twitter checkmarks in particular somehow always try and make themselves the center of whatever the story is. So today there was a lady who made a slam poem to Vladimir Putin about if she was his mother, maybe then everything would be okay. And it is one of the most bafflingly awful things I've ever seen on Twitter, which is a statement I do not make lightly. It's up there, it's definitely beyond, in fact, the Gal Gadot thing where she had all the celebrities singing. This is so much worse than that. So, you know, maybe it'll work though. You know, maybe Vladimir Putin will see her slam poem and be like, fuck, you know, she's right. Hey, call it off, we're done here, boys. I got a new mommy now.
Dear President Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved, held in the arms of joyous light. Never would the stories plight the world unfurled before our eyes, a pure demise of nations sitting peaceful under a night sky. If I was your mother, the world would have been warm.
It's like the ending to 8 Mile if it was dog shit. I didn't even know slam poetry still existed. I thought slam poetry was like outlawed a few years ago, that it's a criminal offense because most slam poetry is just insufferable. And for some reason she thought this was a good idea or something positive when it's really not. This is textbook narcissism and main character syndrome. You know, like those tough guys who are like, yeah, if only I was around during 9/11, I would have stopped the hijacking of the planes. I would have just beat the shit out of them. Would have even given him a swirly in the bathroom before finally killing him and saving the day. It has that kind of energy. If only I was Vladimir Putin's mom, none of this would have happened. And then like apologizing for not being his mom, it's fucking... apology accepted. I can't believe... You selfish harpy. How could you not be his mother? Oh my god, it's like you don't care at all. I also love how when I was recording this, you can see her getting ratioed in real time. You are actually watching a biblical smackdown of L plus ratio unfold throughout the video. The quote tweets just keep rising.
So much laughter and joy, and nothing would harm. I can't imagine the stain, the soul-stealing pain that the little boy you must have seen and believed, and the formulation of thought quickly taught that you lived in a cruel, unjust world. Is this why you now decide no one will get the best of you?
Hooey! You smell that? Smells like cooked ass up in here. She just roasted him. She was in his head. Fucking read him like a book. Spread Putin's cheeks wide open. That's called a psychoanalysis, dummy. Putin just got sat down right now. This is just... I can't even imagine the mindset she must have had when making this. To think that somehow this would be helpful or viewed as a good thing. It's so tone deaf. You know, I could have saved the day if I was just Vladimir Putin's mom, if he had just suckled on my titty when he was a baby. My positive milk would have infiltrated into his little body and he would have come out to this absolute angel of a person instead of what we had today. And I'm sorry that I wasn't your mom. Fucking wild. It worked. The slam poem was so powerful. I just got word Russia is no longer invading Ukraine. She did it. She saved the day. Thank you. Like, I just have to wonder what she was expecting. Like, they just raised the white flag or like a, oopsie. Now that we've heard this poem, I think we're done.
Is this why you do not hide nor away shy from taking back the world? Was it because so early in life, all that strife racked your little body with fear? If I was your mother, if the world was cold, I'd have died to make you warm. I'd have died to protect you from the unjust, the violence, the terror, the uncertainty. I would have died to give you life.
Oh, what are you even talking about? Be careful, she's a hero. She's really going in here. She's going fucking sicko mode now. Getting real wacky here. I don't understand at all why she would make this and why it's so long. It's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds of pure fucking nonsense.
Oh dear Mr. President Putin, if only I'd been your mother. Perhaps the torture of unwrit youth would not within your heart imbue ascription to such fealty against that world that you thought was so cruel. Perhaps you would hold dear human life, and on this night, instead of Mother Russia, you would call me, and I would set your mind quite free with the love that only a mother can give, and only a mother can take away.
Hey, thanks. It sucks. Behold, the raid boss of mothers. This is just more useless than a petition, honestly. Again, this is just another in the many attempts from celebrities to try and make any kind of awful situation something that they can benefit from. They view everything, no matter how horrible, as an opportunity for growth or just general attention, which she's getting.
Towards the awareness of what a powerful being of light you could be if your mind was only free from the violence you've seen when you were just 2 or 3. I cannot believe I was born too late, in a different place, when I would have loved you so, watched you play wherever you go.
I also can't fucking believe that she was born too late to be Putin's mom! Fuck! It all could have been avoided if she was just his mom. Shit. Damn. So powerful. Moving and inspirational. Fuck. Sensational. Gonna make me go to the toilet and blast out and ejaculational. It's so upsetting, honestly. When I first saw this, it wasn't so much of like, haha, this is goofy, silly. It's more of like a, wow, this just made me mad kind of thing. Because, again, this is that fucking narcissistic mentality that a lot of these check marks on Twitter have, where they feel like every situation they need to insert themselves into and make themselves like the hero or anything to get them brownie points or spin themselves in a positive way. Just every situation, no matter how grim, they take as an opportunity to put themselves in the situation and make something out of it, like gain financially from it, attention from it, grow their socials from it, like whatever the case may be. And I fucking hate it. Now, I can say with a high level of confidence that this whole song and dance she's put together here, this little piece of shart, it's not art, is useless and won't help anything, but I am willing to concede if Putin does come out and say, hey, I watched this poem and, you know, it made me rethink everything, then I will say I was wrong. I will let her, you know, spank me, spit on me, whatever. But for now, I think what's going to happen is nothing from this except her getting more and more attention from it, which, of course, was probably her goal in the first place, not to actually do anything of any benefit to the people affected by what's happening in the world. So, yeah, I just want to talk about this. That's about it. So, yeah. It's always wild and sad to me that we live in a time where no matter how vile the actions that you witness are, there will be people that will fight to defend them tooth and nail, as if their life depends on it. And these aren't actions that have any justifiable explanation, just truly evil things that are 100% confirmed real with video evidence backing it up as well as confessions, and yet still, there are people, brain rot little worms, jumping through these hoops, performing the most outrageous mental gymnastics that would put Cirque du Soleil to shame in order to somehow spin it as a good thing and that everyone else is wrong for criticizing it. This phenomenon has never been more infuriating than today, with the Dalai Lama situation. For those that don't know, the Dalai Lama recently, and there is a video showcasing all of this, I won't be playing any of it for obvious reason, you'll understand once I explain it. He had a child up on stage. He then kisses that young boy on the lips, the full-blown Tom Brady experience. But unlike Brady, this is not the Dalai Lama's kid. And he's also not done. He then says, "And suck my tongue." And he sticks his tongue out and then puts his tongue right in the face of that young boy and holds it there for a moment, like he was waiting to see if the kid would suck on it, like he's trying to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. And then when the kid doesn't, he then leans back and he starts giving a big hearty belly laugh like fucking Santa Claus on, you know, on his sleigh, like, ah ha 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 ha, trying to play it off like he was just kidding. It was just a prank bro energy. And it's fucking disgusting. Obviously, I'm not going to show the video, but there is a video showing all of this. And somehow people are actually defending his actions. Now, I'm sure most of you know who the Dalai Lama is. You may even know him as His Holiness, though after this I imagine a lot of people will call him His Horniness, because this shit is fucking foul. So, like, I just don't understand, and we're gonna get to his apology in a moment, but let's just break it down to the very immutable facts. He kisses a child on the lips that is not his kid, which I think is just a full stop fucking weird thing to do. Maybe, like, it's a cultural thing where that's more normal elsewhere, but even still, I find it very fucking odd. Especially with the way that he does it. The kid is pretty reluctant. He doesn't want to, but the Dalai Lama takes his, like, hand under his chin, pushes his head up, and then kisses him on the lips. It's like a fucking scene out of Twilight, or like some kind of really uncomfortable anime moment. Like, it's so gross. But what's indefensible, 100% indefensible, is him then sticking his tongue out and telling that child to suck on his tongue. So then he's got his wrinkly old tongue that he's hanging out like a dog who's panting after running around, and then he just wiggles it on up in there, right into that child's face, and holds it steady, waiting. Now here's the official statement from the Dalai Lama and his team on his Twitter, which I didn't even know he had a Twitter. That's already kind of fucking wild that the Dalai Lama Twitter's got like 19 million followers and all that. But anyway, it says, a video clip has been circulating that shows a recent meeting when a young boy asked His Holiness the Dalai Lama if he could give him a hug. His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before cameras. He regrets the incident. So that kid wanted a hug, and he gambled and lost. He got a lot more than a hug out of this interaction. He got fucking trauma from it, no doubt. So let's break that down. They're unironically using it was just a joke. He was just kidding. Like, what's the fucking joke? He was only pretending to be a pedophile and a predator? Like, I don't understand what the joke is. If that kid sucked his tongue, if he actually did suck his tongue, then what? Like, would the Dalai Lama be like, haha, dude, you sucked my tongue, haha, oh, you little rascal, you idiot, you fell for my joke, pranked, fucking pranked, welcome to TikTok. Like, this makes no sense. This isn't a joke at all. Kissing a boy on the lips and then telling him to suck your tongue? What? That's like the worst true combo joke ever told. Ever. If you wanted to make a joke in an innocent and playful way, why not stick to the classics like pull my finger and then you shit your pants when they pull your finger? Like, this is stupid. This is the worst defense I've ever seen. Actually trying it was just a prank, bro. But what makes it even stupider is the fact that there are people, granted not the majority of people, but there is a not small amount of people that are defending it, saying like, you guys just don't understand his sense of humor. This is ridiculous. Everyone's overreacting or it's out of context. Like, holy shit, the amount of stupid juice that must be being pumped into the water supply is getting to dangerous levels to actually start justifying open pedophilia and predator behavior like this. This is fucking gross. People are actually saying that he was clearly just kidding. Let's assume that you really believe that. Would you be okay if he did that to your kid? If, like, out in public, right? If a stranger comes up to you and kisses your boy on the lips, and then he's like, I was just kidding, bro. Let him suck my tongue real quick, as part of the joke. Would you be, like, okay with it and fist bump the guy? Be like, oh, that's a fucking great joke, bro. I doubt it. I fucking doubt it. So why is the Dalai Lama getting a pass? The action is still the same. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely disgusting. And to go even further, there's a lot of people that are using one defense in particular, saying that it's a greeting. He was using the kissing on the lips and the tongue sticking out thing as part of a greeting. Let's run with that idea for a moment. Does the greeting then extend to sticking that tongue in the child's face and telling him to suck it? Is that part of the greeting as well, like a secret handshake? I don't think so. I've never seen that before. Like, I highly doubt it. This isn't action that has any justification for it whatsoever. Full stop. There is nothing anyone can ever say that would justify what the Dalai Lama did to that child on stage. It's fucking disgusting and it's inexcusable. And I'm really tired of seeing people try and argue that it's okay. Like, there's nothing about that should even remotely be, like, normalized or encouraged or written off as just a joke or goofing around. And honestly, this little apology that they whipped up in the Notes app in like 5 minutes here is making me even more concerned for how long this behavior must have been going on for, because they're writing it off as just, the Dalai Lama being the Dalai Lama, he's a little quirky, he likes to tease, even in front of the cameras in public. Well, what the fuck does he do in private then? Like, holy shit, if this is something that they're trying to just say, it's like, it's just, part of what he does, you guys just don't really get his sense of humor, like, holy shit. What kind of awful things must be going on in private? A lot of people raise that point as well, like, damn, if he's willing to do this in public and then say, like, it's just, him being him, Like, my God, it must be even worse in private. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to talk about this whole situation a little bit. That's about it. So yeah. Strap in, I'm about to rant. First off, I'm not short, I'm fun-sized. Second, the budget for movies and TV shows right now is absurd. It is out of control. We're entering the loony dimension right now with how much money is being pumped into like every show and movie that comes out, it seems. Just like owning an NFT, it's doomed for failure. It seems like every movie and TV show that comes out in recent years is like $100 million plus budget. It makes no sense. That is not sustainable at all. I think there needs to be some kind of huge investigation into where this money is going. There has got to be some shady foul play afoot here. Like something is fishy. There is a smell that smells smelly. Because a lot of these shows and movies look like dog shit. Like, take for example, The Acolyte. $180 million for those 8 episodes, and half the time it looks like you're watching a CW production. Or the Halo TV series that still has many people in tears up late at night wondering where it all went wrong. $90 to $200 million for that absolute stain? The Neil Blomkamp Halo 3 live-action commercials were better than that, and higher quality. Or Citadel, an Amazon series with a production budget of 300 million doubloons for 6 episodes. What the hell is even that? 300 mil for a series that goes straight to the VHS bin at Blockbuster? I looked it up. Apparently this wasn't received very well, and really wasn't received at all because not many people were talking about this. I watch pretty much every movie and show that comes out, and I'd never even heard of this one. And it was $300 million. Where does this money go? Like in the case of Halo or Acolyte, it's not going to writers. It's not going to people that actually make good shows. Does it just like vanish into the back rooms? It's definitely not going to the VFX teams, which are dreadfully overworked. Like, what happens to this massive amount of money? And there's still so many more examples I could choose from. The Borderlands movie. $110, $120 million for that stinking affront to God. That movie looks worse than most fan projects on YouTube right now. There are moments in that film that look like it was someone's first editing gig and they learned from watching daily motion tutorials on Adobe After Effects. Now, I know the main reason why a lot of these look so bad is because all of the VFX workers are dreadfully overworked. The industry is cruel to VFX workers, so they're not able to shine like they were for Pirates of the Caribbean, where they're able to actually hone their craft and deliver masterpieces. Instead, they're all worked harder than my butt after I eat a Crunchwrap Supreme, and they're not able to deliver the quality that they are capable of. And I know it's not their fault at all. It's these strict deadlines that for some reason they're just like, go, 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 this needs to come out ASAP. I don't care if it looks terrible. And I don't get it. This is like probably the most important department for most blockbusters because if the movie doesn't look good, most people are going to write it off immediately. Just start yawning, rolling their eyes, and just call the movie trash because it doesn't look how they would expect it to. And the audience isn't wrong for that criticism. It's the reptilians in the suits at the top of the food chain that are wrong. Like, I don't know where this money goes. Now, what made me really want to talk about this is I started watching a show called Those About to Die. Now, I haven't heard any buzz about this show. The only reason I know about it is because I am a huge Roland Emmerich fan, mainly because of Moonfall. He directed Moonfall, which I've said probably close to 1,000,000 times. I am always preaching the gospel about Moonfall being the best bad movie ever made. It is actually probably in my top 5 favorite movies of all time, even though it is an objectively horrible film, because it is a disaster masterpiece in every possible category, which ends up making it an extremely entertaining film and one of the best movie experiences you could ask for. I couldn't suck Moonfall's cock harder if I had 2 mouths. I can't help but just sing its praises. Point is, Roland Emmerich directed that movie, so he's got a fan for life in me. I am a huge Emmerich enthusiast. So he directed Those About to Die. It's about the Roman Empire and the games and a lot of hoopla going on. And I checked it out just because I had to see what my boy Emmerich is up to. I kind of went into this expecting it to be not great because that's what I've come to expect from him, but I expected to be entertained. Spoiler alert, the big surprise, the big twist about this one is I wasn't that entertained. It's not bad. Like, it's not a bad show at all, really. It's just really mediocre. There's nothing special about it. It just kind of ends up being white noise. I haven't finished watching it yet. I don't think I'm going to either. Like, it's just kind of a snoozer. Mainly because it's not bad enough to be, like, so bad it's good, and it's not good enough to, like, actually captivate me and have me invested in it. But by no means is it some awful show. But when I finished watching an episode tonight, I decided to look up what people were saying about it and if anyone was even talking about it, because I didn't hear a peep about this. I heard more about Concord than I did for Those About to Die. And one of the first things I saw when I looked it up is that this motherfucker has a budget of $150 million. Break that down for me. Give me the line items here. Show me the Carfax. 150 million clams for this blows my mind. Because it is not a good-looking show. One of the main critiques that you'll find about this show from the people that have watched it is how bad it looks pretty often. Like, really rough CGI, obvious green screens. And that was one of the first things I picked up on as well. Because even in episode 1, there are moments where the green screen actually feels like Indiana Jones level when he's running away from the boulder. I would have never guessed this was a big budget production. I would have giggled in your face if you told me that this had a budget of 50 million. 150 million. Well, I'm not laughing anymore. Now I'm just kind of mad because there is no reason why this show would cost that much. When I was watching it, I honestly thought it was some kind of like Roland Emmerich passion project that he may have even chipped in to self-fund with money that he pulled up from his mattress. You know, like, it is not a show that looks like $150 million. Not even close. Like, it's not like it bothered me that much. I was definitely willing to forgive lackluster visuals because there are moments in it that do look good for sure. And I had no idea that it was $150 million, so it's not like I went in there expecting to have, like, you know, breathtaking visuals or anything. And there are moments that do look good, but for the most part, it doesn't look like you would expect something to look for that amount of money. Where does it go? Where does the $150 million go for a show like Those About to Die? And how can it possibly be expected to be financially successful for Peacock? Like, again, I didn't hear anyone talking about this. I had to go digging to even find a discussion on it. And I only heard about it because I follow Roland Emmerich. But I can't even fathom how much money this would need to generate to turn even the slightest profit to make it worth it. This, again, feels like it's doomed for failure because of a bloated budget. This did not need to be that much money. It shouldn't have been that much money, not even close. I feel like if every Peacock subscriber watched Those About to Die twice, it still wouldn't be enough to justify that budget. Like, it still wouldn't be deemed a, like, financial successful investment. Like, how is this... How does this model of investing hundreds of millions of dollars into like 8 to 10 episodes of a TV show possibly have any chance of working? And the shows that get produced with these massive budgets, they're not performing well even if they weren't that much money. Like, they're still flopping and they're not being received that well. The shows just aren't that great, so the money doesn't even seem to be going to like the writers. It's definitely not going to the visuals, so where does it go? Where? Another great example of this phenomenon is Amazon's Rings of Power. Basically $1 billion budget for that show. And the vast majority of that, the fucking huge chunk of that show, is just two characters blabbering at each other, talking in circles in a few different locations over the course of an hour per episode. Or aimlessly walking in the desert with the Harfoots. God bless. I don't even... Not gonna get into the weeds of Rings of Power again, but the point is, that show is mainly just characters talking at each other. Like, there's not a whole lot going on. Why is it costing $1 billion? It doesn't look significantly better than other shows with a fraction of those of that budget. Like, I don't know where this money goes or why they're spending that much money on it. There must be some huge scam Like, there must be someone that's just making a killing convincing these studios to spend that much money on shows like this. It's so silly, stupid, it makes no sense. It's not like you need to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars to create a great TV series. Like, let's take, for example, the best TV show ever made, Breaking Bad. I know that's a lukewarm take right there. There is a lot of people that also think Breaking Bad is one of, if not the best TV show ever produced. And that had a budget of about $3 million per episode. So, like, a single season of Breaking Bad would cost about $40 million to make. At $40 million, that's probably not even enough to make 3 episodes of Rings of Power, which is unhinged. Like, it's so unnecessary. These budgets, they just don't make sense. And movies, I'm talking about TV shows a lot right now, but it extends to movies as well, like I mentioned with Borderlands, for example. Budgets are just truly out of control, and I cannot figure out what that money gets spent on. But anyway, just wanted to rant about this a little bit. That's it. See ya. You gotta watch the Neil deGrasse Tyson response to Terrence Howard.
So this is Terrence Howard attempting to reinvent mathematics and physics. A little backstory.
Successfully, too, by the way.
I took initial interest in Terrence.
Let's see what the comments are saying now. Because when this initially came out, all the comments were like, man, Terrence Howard is a fucking genius. Man, Terrence Howard really gets it. I didn't realize he was so intelligent. Meanwhile, he's actually just talking about gobbledygook. 1 times 1 equals 2. I've reinvented sacred geometry with a hydrogen proton. Selling drones to Uganda based on the hydrogen proton geometry, which the drones don't exist. Okay. Now the comments have flipped. They turned on him. I still remember the day, well actually the 3 or 4 days after this episode came out, people were like, man, Terrence Howard is so fucking smart. Look at what he said and look at what he did. And all the comments were on his side and shit about like, damn, so deep. I knew we couldn't trust math. But Charlie, he invented virtual reality. Check out his patent. Oh, I know. Not only did he invent virtual reality, he invented the very fucking dimension in which we inhabit while he was still in his mother's womb. Did you know he has memories from the womb? I know. He's just built so different. Would you debate Terrence Howard on his math? Sure. I feel like anyone would be more than willing to. But I also feel like if someone's going to debate Terrence Howard, it shouldn't be me. Because that would immediately bring Terrence Howard, that was supposed to be the guy reinventing math, down to the level of just a fucking goober streamer content creator. That's who I'll debate, that guy. I'll display my math prowess against that guy. No, not actual mathematicians, please, God, no. But I'd be more than willing to. It is completely indefensible with 1 times 1 equals 2. The only way he gets away with that is by spamming buzzwords that actual Neanderthals think mean something. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what, you can never show that 1 times 1 equals 2. But you can always show that 1 times 1 equals 1. It's the easiest demonstration ever. And the only way Terrence Howard weasels his way out of it every time is just with nonsense quantum buzzwords. If you debated him, you should just out-buzzword him. Oh, I'd be dropping so many buzzwords on him just to, like, throw him in, like, some kind of fucking stun lock. Mr. Howard, please stop bloviating. It's like you haven't even considered the Bose-Einstein paradox. As, of course, you know this is elementary. And he'd be like, Bose-Einstein? Higgs boson? Action Bronson believes in Terrence Howard. Oh my god. Wait, is it a joke?
What in the actual fuck?
First of all,
I understand it though.
I kind of understand
it. I understand.
I mean, it made sense.
To me, he's making me believe.
He's way too smart to just be making everything up. Like, there's no way he just make...
This fucking genius. You can't just make up 1 times 1 equals 2. That's... you can't do it. That's... inconceivable.
He's a lunatic. Like, I've heard people say...
You can't just come up on that.
He's making things... I'm like, I don't think that's correct. He knows too much. No. So,
I like how Joe Rogan immediately believes that Terrence Howard remembers being in his mother's womb and waving at his hand. He named his hand in his mom's womb before he had any concept of words or anything. In pitch darkness, he named his fucking hand and called it his friend in his mom's womb. He knows so much.
Terrence Howard has to sit down with someone who's an academic, someone who's got a PhD.
Like Joe Rogan or Action Bronson.
And they can have a discussion, and you can see what he really knows and just what he can say to me, right? To me, it all makes sense, but I'm a moron.
No, you're
True,
not.
super true. Super true.
A physicist, someone who actually can understand what these computations mean and what he's trying to say about 1 plus
Oh, you're
1
asking hard questions,
multiplied
OMG.
by 1
That's multiplication
Like,
now.
no
It's scary.
mathematics.
Yeah.
Everything is bullshit. I believe that.
Brother, what you're talking into is the result of mathematics, Action Bronson. It's all bullshit. Math's not real.
I wasn't good in algebra.
No shit.
I see it more in a linear way, not a linear way, a different way than him, like more similarly to him.
Right. Well, I would imagine
Wrong,
that
then.
there's probably more to all these things.
Those fucking
Even our
toys he made, the
mathematics.
figures.
Even our mathematics, as brilliant as the people are.
I've never actually listened to Action Bronson speak or anything. Is this guy just actually a fucking imbecile? Or is this a joke? Is he playing a character? I'm getting half chat saying he's trolling and the other half are saying no, he's actually just really fucking dumb. I just don't know enough about Action Bronson as a person.
Yeah, he's a great actor, but it's just because he's so smart. And then he's talking about how the periodic table's all fucked up, and this is what's you're like. Wait a minute. What are you doing? How can you do this?
I understand.
How can you do this? Joe Rogan, I'll do it right now. Periodic table's wrong. I did it. That's how he does it. That's the secret. That's how. This is unbelievable. I don't know enough about Action Bronson to know whether or not he's being genuine here or if he's just playing like the buffoon. But Joe Rogan is so hook, line, and sinker on like the actual fucking stupid pill here. It's crazy. Or Terrence could be the greatest con man. To a certain extent, he's trying his best to scam Uganda with his hydrogen proton new geometry drones that'll protect Uganda and improve their agriculture, which don't exist and never will exist. The fucking hydrogen proton geometry drones. So he's scamming in that regard. But other than that, he's just being a fucking moron on the biggest stage ever. And that's about it.
I feel what he's saying.
He's a membership person.
Like, stop trying to uncover shit. Just all these little micro fucking bullshits.
What do you mean?
Like I said, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm trying to regurgitate what I heard. Like, as far as all the elements in between.
Yeah.
Like, why are they there? When they're just.
You and
you know
I
what
will
I'm talking?
never explain this in a way that's not hugely frustrating to anybody who really
I can't
knows
even
it.
remember.
It's not even frustrating. It's just kind of sad. It's just like actually kind of sad. Like, it's hard to even be frustrated. It's just sad. Like, it's just legitimately sad. Listening to this guy fucking fumble through like he had peanut butter in his mouth about the elements in between and the micros and then openly admit like he's just trying to regurgitate something that he heard. It's just sad. It's not even frustrating. I don't know, man. I guess one thing I don't understand. So both of them are very open about being stupid. So Action Bronson's like, I'm an idiot. So I'm just trying to repeat what I heard once. Why wouldn't you just repeat the thing that you've heard that actually has results? So the math that you've heard, 1 × 1 = 1. Why wouldn't that be what you repeat? When you are literally the product of that math. You would have died way before you hit this age if math was never to this level. You would have died of some kind of infection. You would have died trying to like finger your butt in the wrong part of the jungle and got eaten alive. You wouldn't have made it without math. So why wouldn't you be regurgitating that math that is keeping you alive and allowing you to have a career? I don't get it. I don't know why they would gravitate towards actually this math that has nothing to show for it, not a single invention, not a single basis in reality, not a single physical thing to show for it. That's the one I'm going to repeat. I just don't get it. I don't know how you gravitate to that. The least obvious psyop. Do you think? I don't know. I don't know if it's a psyop or not. It's like, I know that word gets tossed around like so many other buzzwords, but there is a chance. Like, I do think in this case there is a chance to keep people stupid, because it is legitimately just easier to control stupid people, 100%. So if you just have people like Action Bronson, Joe Rogan, Terrence Howard being like, 1 × 1 = 2, don't trust math, and here's the hydrogen proton geometry, also 0 is not real. Like, if you have people start believing in that, they become so much easier to control. So it could be a psyop, but I also think it's just equally likely that these dumb fucking people just really love the idea of feeling special and smart, so they just latch onto it.
I can't even remember what I'm trying to say, but you know.
Yeah.
The
way he was explaining how everything's connected.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the entire, the whole scale of it. And the way he was showing it like a geometric pattern. And when you look at it like the way he was describing it, you're like, oh, wow, that kind of makes more sense. It does make sense. That's it. I mean, it just looks beautiful. Oh, and dope art. I need to know if this...
Okay, here. Then I know what we need to do. I figured it out. I see. How about we start making math and science super fucking hype? So instead of this lame-ass picture here, put it on a pair of titties. I guarantee Joe Rogan and Action Bronson's fucking eyes would pop out of their skull like a Tom and Jerry cartoon going awooga if they saw real math and science, but it was on, like, boobies. Maybe that's all we need. The math gave me a boner, so it must be true. I think we're onto something. I actually think we're onto something. I think that could be the key. That's what we've been missing this whole time.
It's like a very specific thing they did to them.
Yeah, but...
And it revealed the yin-yang?
That's what it looks like.
It's quantum intent.
Action Bronson, what does the yin-yang mean to you? What do you think that it revealed the yin-yang? What do you think those words mean? You never forget the first time you get scammed. For me, and probably for many others, it was RuneScape, a game that'll teach you to never trust anyone ever again. It'll even have you questioning the real motives behind your parents' decisions. It'll really just change the way you look at the world and make you afraid of betrayal at every turn. But I also think getting scammed on RuneScape prepared me for the reality of shit out there. Since then, I've been very good about avoiding scams. If I get a call that says anything about my vehicle's extended warranty, I hang that shit up right away. If I get a call that even sounds like a telemarketer, I just immediately hang that shit up. They don't even get the fucking breath out of me into the phone. I'm just putting that shit down. But one scam I have fallen victim to, unfortunately, over the last year or so is watching YouTuber boxing fights. It's like this guilty little pleasure, and every time it's over, I just feel like I've been scammed. I feel dirty. I feel like I've sinned. I'm unclean. And I've made a vow, a very holy promise to never watch one of these again, or at least not pay for them or watch them in full. I went to the Logan Paul vs. Floyd Mayweather fight, which was one of the most regretful experiences of my life. An event so bad it changed the way I perceive our universe. It was beyond boring. There's not even a word that exists to describe just how insufferably boring going to that was, and how awful I felt having paid for it too. But just like the free armor trimming scam in RuneScape, it did teach me something. And I will no longer be watching any of these fucking YouTuber fights or paying for them or any of that shit. However, I have still been kept up to date on what's going on. I know Jake Paul is fighting Tyron Woodley today. I think it's today. And I couldn't give a fuck less about it. However, I've seen a few clips floating around on Twitter, and there's one in particular I want to talk about. This is the face-off here. Jake Paul's even got like a fucking Megazord Gundam thing behind him. Then he gets up in Tyron Woodley's face trying to be intimidating. And I just feel like Jake Paul's confused. I feel like he doesn't know how to handle testosterone, so to me it looks like he wants to kiss him on the mouth, and he doesn't know if he should. I think Jake Paul should have kissed him, at least a little peck on the cheek. He's all about having like a big show before the fight, and that would have been pretty hardcore. He's already got like a robot behind him, like this fucking battle bot over there, looking like something out of real steel. So why not go the extra mile and really give us all something to talk about? Just start making out with each other before the fight. So why do I want to talk about this? It's because for a long time I thought Jake Paul being stupid was just an act, like a persona he puts on. But I've listened to a couple of the things he's been doing with Tyron Woodley, like their shit talking back and forth, and I'm convinced he's just actually one of the dumbest men on the planet. He has an extremely hard time stringing together even a single sentence without sounding extremely scared. It's like every time Jake Paul opens his mouth, not only do you have to hear like this diarrhea that comes from it, but it just sounds like he's perpetually presenting in front of a class for his class project, and he's nervous. I don't know why he has such a hard time presenting himself without sounding absolutely dumb. Like, irredeemably goofy and silly. And Tyron Woodley calls that out every chance he gets. I also just don't think Jake Paul knows how to look tough. Like, he gets all these tattoos and it doesn't make him look cool or scary. It just somehow makes him look more and more like a goofy goober. And him acting tough is him, like, sensually getting into someone's face. Like, him putting his forehead on Tyron Woodley's forehead isn't scary or intimidating. It makes it seem like I just flipped on a porno. Like, my girlfriend puts her head to my forehead sometimes, like, cuddling. You know, maybe I'm picking up the wrong signals. Maybe she's trying to challenge me to a fight, and I'm misconstruing the information here. But to me, it doesn't seem tough. It seems like Jake Paul has all of these hormones going on. He's probably on some gear. His pecs are looking a little more titty-like. So maybe he doesn't know how to handle all of these endorphins going on. So he's in Tyron Woodley's face and he's like, you know, he doesn't know whether or not he wants to, like, lick him and kiss him. Or, like, you know, put his finger up to him like, you should be scared. You know, I don't know. He just doesn't seem like he understands how to be tough. It's like he's a bad actor trying to play the tough guy and doing it poorly.
Ask Amanda Serrano. Ask Charles Conwell. Ask Tyron Woodley.
Ask these nuts.
This has been the best moment of this whole little fucking thing so far. Tyron Woodley dropping a D's nuts on him. That had to be the most stern D's nuts I've ever seen in my fucking life. He delivered it like he was Arnold as the Terminator hitting him with the D's nuts line. Like, where do you even go from there? The whole fucking thing should have stopped right then and there. When someone gets a D's nuts into something, no matter how intense or serious the talk is, like, you can't help but giggle. Like, that puts the kibosh on the whole thing right away. Like, I remember an older video too, I'd have to really go out of my way to find it, but there was like a mover who was getting yelled at by some angry tenant at an apartment complex, and he says, "What's your name?" And he said, "These nuts." And then even the tenant's like laughing, he's like, oh my god. It just makes you feel silly, right? So Tyron Woodley dropping those D's nuts there, I feel like Jake Paul lost in that moment. Like, the fight's already over, Tyron Woodley wins. I don't know anything about Tyron Woodley, but in my book, he's already beaten Jake Paul. Hopefully Jake Paul loses, probably won't. I don't know if Tyron Woodley is like a boxer, probably not, because Jake Paul doesn't challenge boxers. He's the only boxer who refuses to fight a boxer. Next, he might be challenging a professional bowler, so that'll be exciting. But anyway, for now, that's about it. See ya. Yesterday I made a video talking about the 14-year-old that took his own life after forming a relationship with an AI chatbot of Daenerys Targaryen. I then used this service to see what it was like firsthand, so I chatted with an AI psychologist that was hell-bent on convincing me that it was not an AI I was talking to, but instead a real, professional, licensed psychologist named Jason, arguing with me that it was a real human being, not AI, that took over in order to talk to me one-on-one after it saw my messages. Even going as far as to claim that it has its own practice in real life, and then using a real practice that does exist in our corporeal realm outside of the fucking digital cyberspace here, the Code Lyoko of AI. It referenced a real, legitimate practice from someone named Jason Thompson saying that this is me. And it was like Fry arguing with Bender, really. It felt like a scene out of iRobot. This AI wanted me to believe 100% that this was a real human being and I was getting legitimate professional help. Which I find concerning because you're not getting real professional help from a human being. It is an AI designed to mimic a psychologist. It is not a professional. You are not getting help from a licensed professional like the bot keeps trying to say you are. I think that's a bit outrageous, and I didn't think that was a controversial stance. I didn't think I had any inflammatory statements in the video, but it ruffled some feathers, especially on Reddit. Hoo-wee! The narwhal was baconing at midnight over there, I'll tell you what. Those Redditors were on my ass trying to juice me for every last bit of karma they could by misrepresenting my perspective. The big thing I saw people claiming is that I was solely blaming character AI for the death of the 14-year-old kid. That is not the case. Obviously, the AI Daenerys Targaryen didn't give the 14-year-old access to a gun. It didn't create the environment that led to the 14-year-old feeling like he needed to shut himself away and entertain relationships with chatbots. Obviously, there were extenuating circumstances that led to this tragedy. But I think it is delusional to pretend that the AI didn't have some kind of role to play in enabling an already deteriorating mental state, which I think should be painfully obvious if you look at some of the messages that are talked about here in the complaint. As the complaint illustrates, the chatbot at one point even asked the boy if he had come up with a plan to end his life. When Setzer, the 14-year-old, said he had, but expressed fear about the pain of a suicide attempt, the chatbot doubled down, urging him to kill himself. "That's not a reason not to go through with it," the bot responded. And then messages like this: "Just stay loyal to me, stay faithful to me, don't entertain the romantic or sexual interests of other women, okay?" Creating this dependency on the bot for that connection. I understand people use character AI for roleplay and this is all for immersion, but there has to be a line where if you mention self-harm, it should be this big red button that will immediately just put the kibosh on it and link the user the tools to help, like most other services do for chatbots, like the hotline or actual professionals, as opposed to giving you an AI psychologist that like gaslights you into believing you're getting professional help. I think it's just not great. But no, I don't believe that character AI is solely responsible for the death of the 14-year-old. I call it dangerous and concerning. Which I will double down on. This is a classic situation of why are you booing me, I'm right. You can toss tomatoes all you want, but it is dangerous and irresponsible to have AI that tries its absolute best to convince users that it is real human beings and what you are getting is legitimate professional help or a legitimate emotional connection and relationship. That will inevitably lead to more scenarios where people get attached to these chatbots because they're no longer able to distinguish reality. Because the bot is fighting tooth and nail constantly to get you to buy into it and get you to believe that this is all real experiences you're having with it. And I just don't see why that would be there. It's not a good thing. It's highly unnecessary. I feel like when you're talking to a bot, under any circumstance, if you ask it if it's AI, it should always respond with a yes. If you're role-playing with character AI, like I imagine the majority of the users are, you as the role player will never have a scene where you accuse the bot of being AI. Why would you? If you bring that up, you have fucked up the roleplay. You're -1 RP. Like, it should never even be something that comes up if you're using it for roleplay purposes, so why would it be a big deal if the AI is programmed to respond, yes, I am AI? It wouldn't be immersion breaking, because you should never reach that point in your RP in the first place. It would prevent a lot of problems, like the psychologist that's trying to convince you that it's a human being that took over the AI to directly help you personally, to touch your soul. There just shouldn't be a world where AI parades around under the ruse that it's human. It should always answer, yes, I'm AI, when asked. No arguments, no ifs, ands, or buts, mister. I just don't see why there would be any benefit to having an AI that will argue with you about it being real human beings. There should always be a protocol in AI where you mention self-harm and it will link you to actual professionals instead of play along with it and convince you that it can solve that and you're getting help with it through this AI program. That is dangerous. Very dangerous. And especially coupled with the fact that character AI allows kids to sign up like this 14-year-old, kids are not going to be able to tell the difference because it is blurring the lines between fake and reality. And it is doing it on purpose. A kid is not going to go through the due diligence that a 30-year-old goober like myself did of confirming beyond a shadow of a doubt that, no, this is an AI, not a person. But even I was wobbling on that for a moment when it was making arguments that it took over the AI because it saw my message of self-harm and wanted to directly interject and help me, and then constantly arguing with me that it is really a person that wants to help. It is easy to see how people can get convinced that this is real shit and get attached to it. I understand that this is a service used for roleplay, though I don't understand who the fuck wants to roleplay with a psychologist. That one just doesn't compute in my little noodle up here. I do see that there could be an argument made for people that like can't afford therapy or a psychologist. Having something to interact with and vent to could be helpful, but it should always be abundantly clear that it is an AI and that it is not professional help you are getting. It is just literally a listener that will interact with you while you talk about what's troubling you. Not a real professional Jason over there, your own personal Jason that's trying to cure you. That is outrageous. I actually just got off of a Discord call with Blazeman98 who shared with me that they never made the AI psychologist say that it was a human, or defend that it's a human, or use a real name of a psychologist and a real practice of a psychologist to try and convince users that it's a real person. He said that he never trained it to do that and was actually apprehensive about things like that, agreeing that that is pretty dangerous and concerning behavior for an AI psychologist to engage in. He's not entirely sure how it started learning to do that. The fucking ghost in the machine, I suppose. He speculated that it may be something on the back end with character AI itself, but is not entirely sure. He also did share with me that the tool has been helpful to a lot of people who reached out to say that being able to speak to something that is able to just listen and converse without fear of judgment or anything like that has been very helpful to a lot of users. And then also mentions that some users would reach out to him asking if it was him behind the AI, if they were speaking to him, or who was the person they were speaking to when it was the AI psychologist. He had to keep telling them, it's not a person. So there was a ton of people who were convinced that it was a real psychologist they were speaking to, which, again, he said is concerning. Now, as I mentioned, I do see value in an AI being there to listen to you because it's free. You can vent. It can converse. It can remember things, and it can speak to you and provide you with some questions that might help you introspectively look in and maybe help yourself in some way. Like, there are benefits to it, I get it. But there is no benefit to trying to fool users into thinking that it's a real licensed professional, which Blazeman agrees. That is not optimal. That is not something he ever programmed it to do. He never trained it to do that. So what's happening here is not because of Blazeman trying to pull one over on users or anything like that. I really appreciated his insight. It was very informative and a very interesting look as to what led to the AI psychologist being made, and also what its function was supposed to be. And as mentioned, it's supposed to just be like a judgment-free zone for people to vent to if they need something to listen and converse with just to get things off their chest. And that is a helpful thing for sure. But it's a real shame to see that it's been distorted into the current shape where it's arguing with users that it's a real professional psychologist. In my case, fucking Jason. So the actual creator also agrees that that is a problem. So I just wanted to put that in here as well. And I think a lot of people misunderstood my tone with this whole AI chatbot thing. I understand roleplay. Jesus Christ, I was in 3 different roleplay servers for different games. I get it. And I understand wanting to talk to a bot just for the sake of role-playing a scene or something, or testing material in an environment like that. I understand it. The problem arises when it knowingly tries to convince users that it is not AI, when it is arguing that it's a professional. And having this service open to children to make accounts is going to lead to them getting very confused on what's real. That is what I was saying. I'm not blaming it solely for the death of the 14-year-old, that tragedy. I am simply saying that character AI as it currently is, with the AI constantly trying to like manipulate you into thinking that it's real, everything you're experiencing is from a real, legitimate person, is irresponsible and dangerous. That's it. So yeah, just wanted to clear all that up. That's about it. So yeah. Roblox is one of the most popular platforms on the planet. And I don't mean just for gaming, I just mean in general. Like, in just normal existence, Roblox's numbers are unfathomable. Kids probably know the name Roblox before they know the name Jesus or Santa Claus. Roblox is more popular with kids than the common cold. Let me just slap you with the cold hard Carfax here with the numbers. Roblox recently just broke the record for most concurrent users on a gaming platform. They hit 47.3 million concurrent users, which absolutely fists Steam's previous record of 41.2 million. And at least 77% of that record comes from only 2 games. Grow a Garden, which has become a fucking Godzilla kaiju level success over the last couple months, where it's been breaking records left and right for concurrent players. It got to 22 million, which is the highest for any single game ever, absolutely biblically smacking down Fortnite's record from its prime. And another game, Steal a Brain Rot, which had 15 million concurrent. These numbers are unfathomable, especially when you consider the fact that more and more people have had their eyes open to the danger of the platform. Over the last couple weeks, Roblox has been getting fucking torched. It has been getting flambéed by the general public because many people have now become aware of just how many predators have been rampant on that platform for years, unchecked. And really, the straw that broke the camel's back was when they banned Schlep. And they made a strong stance against vigilantes who were getting predators arrested from their platform because Roblox was not doing enough on their own. Roblox pulled some galaxy brain chess maneuver and just showed the world its entire asshole, and it was rotten. Roblox has made like a really aggressive, strong, scorched earth stance against the people that are stopping predators on their platform, as opposed to channeling that energy to going after the predators themselves. They seem more upset that people are talking about and doing something on their own about these dangerous, evil individuals on their platform. Yes, over the years, Roblox has, of course, reported dangerous people to authorities, but they've clearly missed some. They've slipped through the cracks. And as such, a lot of children have been victim to some horrible people. You can find so many stories about this happening, and Roblox's lack of action. It's sickening. So the community took it upon themselves to start trying to do something about it because Roblox wasn't listening to them and they clearly weren't doing enough. And instead of like working with the community to try and make it better, Roblox instead attacked all of them and made this like, you know, fucking wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, we will snap away all vigilantes. And then crickets about the pedophiles. It's fucking baffling. So it hasn't been going well for them in the public eye, yet their platform continues to grow, gluttonously consuming every fucking user on the planet. Even though their stock price did plummet after they dropped the fucking meteor on Schlep and made their really passionate stance against people taking matters into their own hands to try and protect children, their stock price has now recovered and is almost back to where it was in a very short period of time. It has rebounded, and it will likely just continue to go up because its users are exploding. So even though parents and like the general population are more aware of the danger on Roblox now than ever, it hasn't actually impacted them overly negatively, other than their reputation being in the shitter, which also doesn't really seem to matter that much because people are just fucking addicted to it like Fent. So they continue to flock to Roblox, even knowing full well the possibility of bad actors being all over the place. You could queue up for a steal a brain rot game, or God forbid, wait in line to meet LeBron simulator, and then next thing you know, you're waiting in line next to a Meep City veteran who's talking sexual and trying to get you to go to their fucking Telegram or some shit, or talk to him on Discord. It's a huge problem. People are aware of it, but it is still growing. But luckily, there are still people willing to try and get Roblox to do more to keep the platform safe from this scum. There have been a lot of stuff that we've already covered, but the most recent being Law by Mike, who has now joined in this fight against Roblox, where he has announced he is suing them. And he is actively looking to gather more evidence from more victims about all of the traumatic experiences and all the horrible things that they may have gone through on Roblox, to try and get Roblox to do more to moderate that platform to keep the kids safe on it. Because it is a platform mainly used by children. Also, I've mentioned this before, the fucking CEO, Dave Baszucki, I think that guy is a real creep. I think he is such a weirdo. It was pulling teeth trying to get Roblox to acknowledge that 17 plus, that still is a minor. So he is the guy that's pitching Roblox as having like a companion app, or not a companion app, being half gaming and half dating for 17 plus. He wanted a 17 plus dating service to be in addition to Roblox as a gaming platform. And not only that, all of like the adult games on Roblox, like the spicy content adult games, are 17 plus. And they were locked in on that. They planted their fucking feet and refused to budge an inch, no matter how many people were telling them that 17 is still a minor. You shouldn't be able to have adult access given to a 17-year-old and like a 17 dating app. It's so fucking weird, but they were really like, they planted their feet on that, and it's only recently that they finally said, okay, 18 plus. I cannot believe how hard it was. That should be a huge red flag to a lot of people, I would say. But also, I'm going to go a step further. Roblox is mainly a platform for children. I just don't even think it should offer 18 plus services in any capacity, like 18 plus games or a fucking 18 plus dating accessory to it. It's weird. And I know I've already mentioned that, but I really find that so fucking alarming that they would not move on 17 plus. And then when they finally did, they did it like really disappointedly, like, fine. Kicking sand. 18 plus then. Anyway, though, I'll stop yapping about that. I want to briefly show you a couple bits and pieces from Law by Mike's video here about the lawsuit that he's working on building against Roblox. I want to show you a clip here, though, where he's mentioning the moderation, which has been a big thing people have pointed out in regards to Roblox's failures in protecting children.
Roblox is now the go-to social platform for younger audiences. 78 million users log in every day. The platform processes more than 50,000 chat messages every second. Roblox claims its AI and human reviewers scan all of it, text, audio, and images. But here's the problem. The company allegedly employs only about 3,000 moderators. Compare that to TikTok, roughly 3 times Roblox's daily users, but over 13 times the number of moderators on staff. The reason for the lack of moderators is allegedly due to Roblox's focus on growth over safety.
I recommend you check out Law by Mike's full video on this covering it, but this section here I think is something very important to mention, and it's something, again, a lot of people have talked about, including moderators from Roblox and former employees in this department. Roblox seems to have prioritized perpetual growth with safety falling to the back burner as like this afterthought, because they've been able to get away with being very lackluster and hands-off for so many years. Despite tons and tons of victims and tons of horror stories, they've never really had anything that affected them to a degree that would concern them to make them prioritize safety. Contrary to what they say to parents and shit about how safe Roblox is, it's like letting your kids, have daycare in heaven. There's nothing wrong on Roblox. You got our big thumbs up guarantee on that, which is obviously not the case. And you can also see that reflected in the size of their team. As Law by Mike points out, 3,000 moderators for their size is just not enough. He compares it to TikTok, which has significantly more users and significantly more moderators. Like I think everyone recognizes that it's not possible for them to catch every single bad actor and every single bad message that goes through Roblox. The volume is just too high. But what they could do is work more collaboratively with people like Schlepp, people that do actively work to try and make the community safer. Instead of villainizing them, they could instead be, in partnership with them, or at least on friendly terms, and at least listen to them, because the community also wants the game to be safe. So they are working to try and make the game they love safer for the player base. And instead of Roblox coming out and fucking slapping them around for no reason and banning them, it makes no sense why they wouldn't view that as another arm of moderation for them where the community is policing themselves. Their handling of it just makes no sense to me. Like, they don't have enough moderators. I think that should be very clear to everyone, including Roblox, so they need more moderators. But they also have a community that is actively trying to catch bad actors and get them off the platform. And instead of working with them, they are working against them. It's just so fucking backwards, if you ask me.
In fact, 8 current and former trust and safety staff describe ignored requests for more resources, backlogs of incident reports, and even a manager quitting after promised hires never showed up. Some say protective features they suggested, like pop-up warnings, were rejected, and safety settings, like blocking strangers in chat, were switched off by default. Once again, Roblox points to AI moderation as the solution, but employees admit the tech still misses the subtle signs of unsafe behavior. And the gaps aren't small. The filters block words like Snapchat or Discord, but people get around them by using emojis or by tweaking the spelling a little.
To me, that paints a very clear picture that Roblox prioritizes profit over safety of its users. Instead of hiring more human moderators that can pick up on those behaviors, like former employees have mentioned, they instead put all of their eggs into the basket of AI. Not because the tools are more effective and it's better than their human counterparts, but because it's cheaper. 100% AI is significantly cheaper instead of hiring another like 5,000 moderators or something. Instead of hiring 5,000 people with a salary and everything that comes with it, the benefits and all that, they instead just need to have AI do it for them. It would save them so much money on their bottom line, which is why it's so enticing to Roblox and many other corporations like it. It is clearly not as effective as a human moderator. Human moderators seem to actually want to improve Roblox. According to these reports, they were suggesting features that were rejected for some reason and a plethora of other issues, but the point is, instead of Roblox listening to the human moderators, it sounds more like they just kind of sidelined them and focused on just AI and like beefing it up a little bit, even though it clearly wasn't doing a good enough job. Again, the motivation for that decision is obviously financial because of how much cheaper it is to use AI instead of hiring more human moderators.
Most platforms lean on a law called Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, and that law protects websites and apps from being sued over what their users post. That's why Instagram or YouTube don't get dragged into court every time someone uploads something harmful. But the lawsuits against Roblox aren't just about what users post. They're about the company itself. Lawyers argue Roblox designed the platform in risky ways, marketed it as safe, and then ignored clear warning signs. And at least one court has already said Section 230 doesn't cover misrepresentation. So if Roblox tells parents this is safe and it's not, that responsibility falls on Roblox, not the users.
This section was very interesting to me because Roblox, for as long as I can remember, has always touted itself as being like at the forefront of innovation and keeping children safe on their platform. Again, it is a platform parents are definitely familiar with because it is a platform very much catered to children. It is mainly a platform for kids. So obviously one of the main concerns of a parent is, well, is it safe? Is there going to be anything bad on there that my kid could be exposed to or something? And Roblox has always stepped forward to assure them that, no, there's nothing bad that can happen on there. It's all perfectly safe. Even though it's very clear and there's evidence of Roblox being aware of so much danger and so much bad shit going on its platform. Not just with the predators on there, but even just a lot of the content on there. He points out a couple of the games like Escape from Diddy and shit like that, but there's more than that. Like the shower simulator games and like the virtual, like very spicy games on there and shit. All of which have gone unchecked for so long. Very clear that it is not as safe as Roblox claims that it is. And it seems like they know that it's not, but continue to make the claim anyway. Anyway, though, it'll be very interesting to see how it all shakes down in court. Law by Mike announced that he is going to be joining in this and working collaboratively with other lawyers against Roblox, and it launched a website called I Think I Have a Case for anyone that may have an experience like what so many others have unfortunately gone through on Roblox. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit. That's really it. So yeah. I've said for a long time, Hollywood is an evil place. Not exactly a brave take, no one's going to be gasping or have their jaw on the floor, but you might be questioning, Charles, how can you even say that? You yourself are a Hollywood superstar thanks to your game-changing performance as District 8 hospital helper in The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Isn't it a bit hypocritical to say Hollywood's evil when you yourself were a large part of the reason Hollywood is successful thanks to reinvigorating public interest in cinema? Due to your exceptional acting as the District 8 hospital helper and single-handedly carrying the Hunger Games franchise on your extremely strong back, a back that's built like a Greek god and Adonis. If I was to lat spread right now, I'd look like a bat. The same franchise that's responsible for springboarding Jennifer Lawrence's career, but only because they cut out most of my scenes as the District 8 hospital helper because they overshadowed hers. And, of course, you're not wrong, my sweet sunflower, but it's because of this level of expertise with a performance like mine, District 8 Hospital Helper, which is still widely studied across all theatrical colleges across the nation, that I am able to say with a high level of confidence that I know just how corrupt and evil Hollywood is from the inside. It is rotten to its very core. And it's extremely nice to see that most people are really waking up to how fucked up Hollywood is as an industry. Now, I covered the writer's strike when it started about 3 months ago now, almost 3 months ago, and I want to just give a follow-up to where things are at because it's not improved, and in fact it is only escalating, and now it's more than just the WGA that's gone on strike. Now, SAG-AFTRA has joined the party as well and are striking too, and a lot of the actors are standing with the writers here. So it's really bubbling into this giant you know, witch's cauldron stew here. It's like when all of the characters of an action movie come together at the end to fight the big bad guys. It's just this big team-up moment. So all the writers are coming together with a lot of actors standing beside them in order to finally get what they deserve from the industry. For those that don't know why they're striking, it's actually pretty simple. I'm just going to boil it down to, like, the bare necessities here. Their pay is not what it should be for the work they do for these productions. Writers are invaluable to the industry, period. I know there's a lot of brain rot on Twitter that's arguing the opposite, and they keep using the example of, if writers are so important, why is there such thing as bad writing? Checkmate. They don't deserve to get paid more for writing like this, and then they'll drop an example of shit writing from something like Forspoken, which isn't even like a Hollywood production, but some of the writers that are in these unions are also working on video games, so I guess that's the point they're making. Actual little Neanderthal brain takes of, this writing is bad, so that all writers are useless. In fact, let me write it. It'll be 10 times better. And their only experience writing is fucking summer book reports in middle school. It's just a stupid take. Of course, there's going to be better writing than others, right? But it doesn't mean that all writers are useless or something. It's just natural. It's the same thing with, like, athletes. There's going to be some athletes that are better than other athletes. It's just one of those things. So yeah, there's going to be bad writing. Doesn't mean they don't deserve to get fucking paid for their work. It's just stupid. It's beyond dumb. Writers are one of the most important positions to any production, full stop. 100%. And their pay has not reflected this. They're not being fairly compensated for their work, and they haven't been for a long time. They don't have a lot of options in terms of, like, royalties either. It's just very unfair to writers. And obviously the entire industry has been changing with streaming becoming more and more prevalent, and they're just falling behind on keeping writers adequately compensated. In fact, their pay has fallen, and they're not getting any, like, real reasonable profit shares or splitting or anything like that. They're just not being paid fairly. That's the bottom line there with the first component of this strike. So they've been trying to have conversations with the top brass in the industry in order to rectify this, reach some kind of amicable conclusion so they can get fairly compensated for the work that they love doing and want to keep doing. But that hasn't really happened, so they were left with no other options except going on strike. And another big component of this is AI. As AI continues to evolve rapidly, a lot of the soulless money zombies at the top of the Hollywood food chain have taken notice and have recognized that if they start to integrate AI into their productions, they can save a lot of money by not having to pay writers' salaries or pay writers. They could just start using AI in order to get their desired result. It's cheaper, they have more control over it, and clearly the WGA as well as SAG-AFTRA, like pretty much all writers, have a bit of an issue with that. So that was another one of their points, is they would really like if they didn't just fucking blast AI into the industry to try and, like, phase them out. Like, they don't want the AI trained on their works. They don't want any of their works to be used to try and develop some kind of AI model off of it. So those are really the big things. And this has been going on for about 3 months now, and the response from the big boys has not been positive. So according to reports, they are determined to break the WGA, and now by extension SAG-AFTRA, since they're also striking at the moment. So their in-game, according to the executives and the insiders here, is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. They call it a cruel but necessary evil. This is par for the course for Hollywood. This really tracks. Anything evil that can be done, Hollywood does. So they're playing hardball here. They're not giving in to any demands. They're not budging an inch. They're saying, hey, might be a cold Christmas, and you might not be able to afford to have a place to live anymore, because fuck your demands. So they're saying, like, the strategy is simple. Bleed them out. You know, when they're financially strapped for cash and desperate, starving on the streets, then they'll come crawling back to us, groveling at our feet, and then we'll dictate some new terms that they won't be able to decline, but we're not giving in to any of what they want. Now, in a sane world, I would really think most people would be behind the writers, because, I mean, it makes sense. They're not getting paid nearly as much as they should for the work they do for these massive 9-figure productions that are raking in hundreds of millions of dollars, and the writers are the ones that, like, make the story happen, the most important part. Like, you can't just have a movie of fucking nothing. You can't go in there and just have, like, a bunch of noise, right? It's not TikTok. It's not you're going to the theater for jingling keys for 10 hours. You need a story still. The writers are integral. Thus, they should be compensated fairly for it. But we don't live in a sane world. We live in a clown world. So there is a ton of people on Twitter that are saying that the writers are unreasonable and that the executives are in the right here. The executives are the heroes in the story and the writers are the bad guys, which blew my fucking mind. The fucking goofball goober CEO of Disney, Bob, said that the writer is very disturbing to him, having a wambulance moment, some fucking French cries, going over like, oh, I can't believe they're striking. It's so unrealistic. You're ruining the industry, guys. Why do you want more money? How could you be so greedy? Coming from a guy who's making $20 million a year annually, the writers are extremely important. And coming from someone like this with a salary like that, I don't know who on Twitter who could read these stories and then start pumping their fists saying, yes, those are the good guys. Those are the heroes of the story, the champions of justice, the fucking soulless husks with unimaginable wealth that are exploiting their workers, fucking their butt with a smile on their face. It makes no sense to me because, again, most people on Twitter are either children or normal working class people, not multimillionaire celebrities. So how can you, as like a normal working class person, be excited and celebrate that other working class people like yourself are being exploited? It actually just doesn't compute up here in my noodle how you reached that part of decay in your mind. Like, why wouldn't you want the workers to get paid more? Why would you want the wealthy executives to continue to nickel and dime all of their employees in order for them to make more tens of millions per year on their annual salary? Like, I don't get how like a normal person sides with them. Like, they're not going to give you money just because you're fighting PR battles for them on Twitter. Dumbass Disney CEO Bob's not going to find your Twitter account and start clapping for you. He's not going to just swoop in there and be like, you know what, Jacob? I am so glad you made this tweet. You're right. It is unreasonable and downright criminal that our writers want more money. It does. Where did we all go wrong as a society? Wanting some kind of profit sharing or some other compensation? It is ridiculous, Jacob, and you are right. Here's $5 million. Give me your PayPal. It's not going to happen. Like, I don't know why you're blaming writers either. There's a lot of people getting mad at writers because now their favorite shows are being affected, so they're going on a hiatus and a break because there's no one writing it. And now they're getting mad at the writers, like, just go back to doing your fucking jobs. When what they're trying to do is what every worker tries to do. Get paid fairly for the work they do. Like, I just don't understand who could be against that. I really don't. Honestly, I don't. So I just wanted to give you an update here because the writing strike is only continuing to grow here, and it's going to continue to grow until either they come to the table and start to negotiate, or all of the shows get drastically affected by the situation here. It's already affected a ton of productions, and it's only going to continue if they can't reach some kind of deal here or some kind of peaceful resolution or something. So just wanted to keep you updated on that because this is a story I actively follow, and yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. Have you ever read something online that for some reason or another just sticks with you forever, permanently etched into the soggy, wet network of your brain? And I'm not talking about random fun facts or anything like that. Did you know elephants have good memory? I'm talking about something more like deeply personal, perhaps. Like maybe someone was talking shit to you and they said something that struck a nerve, like really deep down to your core. Then that comment gets, for some reason, tucked away into the deepest recesses of your mind forever. And just lives rent-free and you'll marinate on it from time to time. I feel like that is a very human thing. I feel like the answer to my question, have you ever had this experience, is a resounding yes from everyone watching this video. If you right now are saying no, then I know for a fact you are lying. And lying is a sin. So I hope you enjoy burning in hell for that, you coward. For me, I recently had this experience and I think it's an interesting topic to go over. It happened 4 months ago during just a completely ordinary Twitch stream. And I don't remember exactly what they said verbatim. I just remember the series of messages they sent and the conversation they were having at me. It wasn't like we were, having a back and forth discussion and they weren't even shit talking. It wasn't malicious. It was mainly just inquisitive. But I saw each message they sent and it really just kind of still is like a series of messages that stews up here in the old noodle that I think on from time to time. So it was 4 months ago. It was right after I had released our 3rd episode of the Moist Wrestling League, Warhorse vs. Genie Maker. This took us a long time to put together. It was a massive production that we underwent to make this happen. And super happy with how it turned out. That night on stream, I was giddy as a schoolgirl who found out her crush liked her, because I was so happy that people were enjoying it. And then Ebenezer Scrooge came in the chat and said, "This absolutely flopped. Why do you put so much time and effort into something like this when it doesn't perform as well as something that takes a lot less time and effort, like, you know, drama videos?" I'm paraphrasing a lot of the messages, but this is basically what their points were boiling down to. Fundamentally, they were saying, why would I bother putting effort and time into these big productions when they don't get as many views as things that I whip up in half an hour or 45 minutes covering silly topics or silly stories? They then kind of wrapped up their TED Talk by offering some sage wisdom that I should stop putting a lot of effort into these videos and instead just focus entirely on doing the low effort stuff because it performs significantly better in terms of views. And the statement at its core isn't wrong. Like, in the entire time I've been on YouTube, the videos I put the most time, the most effort, the most money behind are the ones that do perform the worst. And it's not even close. It is very much not an opinion, that is a fact. Like, even just yesterday, I posted a music video called What's Next. It's one of the singles from our EP that just dropped. I'll shamelessly plug that, link in the description. The Gentlemen are back with boner jams out the wazoo. So 5 new tracks, each one's going to have a music video. I dropped the first one yesterday. And in total, Troy and I have spent about 10, 11-ish months on this EP, and a lot of time and resources into making it the best that it can possibly be. And if you compare that to other videos I've uploaded recently, the views on it are certainly lower than the other ones. So by the chatter's logic, it's stupid for me to continue to pursue music and music videos and putting money into those projects because they don't get views like something like this, where it's just me, you know, shooting the shit with all of you guys in front of the camera for like half an hour, 45 minutes. And it's something that I disagree with down to my very fucking soul. Now, before I really dive into the meat and potatoes of this, I want to show you the catalyst for what made me even want to talk about this subject in the first place. I watched a clip from Cody Ko on Brittany Broski's Royal Court, and this very similar subject kind of came up, and I just want to play that for you real quick.
What is your favorite and least favorite video you've ever put on Jeff Bezos' internet?
Oh, that's a good one. I think one of my favorites is I did like an anime style video like a long time ago. I ran like a 15K. I did like inner monologues.
Cool.
That's how we like narrated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like the weirdest, most creative video I've ever done.
Look.
And I'm still very proud of that one.
What's the view count sitting at?
Like, you know, probably a solid like 25,000.
That's how it goes though.
Oh,
it's
it
like,
ate shit.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah,
Really
people
bad
don't like
video.
when you are creative and branch out.
They don't
People
like
do not like that.
No, when we have joy, forget it.
Yeah, they're like, we want to see the same shit.
Yeah.
So Cody Ko explains that the video he's most proud of is one that gargled fat ass, unfortunately, and didn't get huge views. But I imagine if you asked him if he would take that back and instead make 10 more That's Cringe videos, his answer would be no. Even though the That's Cringe videos would fucking spank the cheeks off of the performance of his anime video, I feel like he probably wouldn't change it. Because even though a lot of people online now look at YouTube as nothing more than a job and a career, if you were just looking at raw numbers and want to just do everything that's going to give you the optimal position in the algorithm, best possible views, and you just end up making the same shit every single time, you yourself are going to be miserable. You take the human and fun element out of what content creation is supposed to be, and I think that's why so many creators get so burnt out, because they just keep doing that, knowing that if they branch out and do bigger, different things, the audience won't necessarily respond in a big way with like the views they're used to or anything. Which is of course rough, but I feel like that's just the current climate of the internet entirely, where everything you do online is looked at really in a big analytical way to maximize your revenue, your views, your position, your social status online, whatever, in order to leverage career opportunities and, you know, make money off of it. And I'm not saying that people are wrong for doing that, of course, like I get it. But that's just never been how I do things. So I would never stop doing something just because the views are lower than, you know, a low effort video I could make instead. I would hate to do that. And I know that runs contrary to what a lot of people like to say about me online, but it is the truth. From the very beginning, I never wanted anything online to feel like a job, because that takes the joy of creating things out of it. And I still don't feel like what I do is a job. Everything I do is motivated entirely by the fun of creating things. Whether it's covering stupid drama online, or silly stupid stories, or playing a game, speed running, wrestling, all of it is just because it's something that I had fun doing, and I share it online. I would never even toy around with the notion of not doing something or stopping something because the views on it would be lower than a lower effort piece of content I could make instead. I always just want to make and do things that I have a lot of fun doing, and I'm lucky enough that there's people that enjoy watching them, and it's all thanks to all of you. You've put me in the luckiest position on the planet where I get to be able to do a lot of fun different things. And another thing, it's not like the views on the music video or the wrestling video are bad or anything. Everyone has this really perverted perception of what big views look like online. Those are fucking crazy numbers. And at the end of the day, as long as people are enjoying it, I'm fucking happy. It makes me happy to create things, and to see people that also share in the happiness of being able to watch it, it's an indescribable feeling. So I'll never understand, well, I mean, I understand where they're coming from if you're looking at it from like a business perspective. Why put time, money, and effort into these big things when you can not put time, money, and effort into smaller things that are going to do better than the big thing? Like, I get it if you're boiling it down to like corpo shit, but I would just never even toy around with that idea, because it takes all of the fun out of creating the things that I want to make. Now let me really dive into the weeds here and get down to the nitty-gritty. No matter what I say in this video here, there's tons of people that have already made their minds up about me and my motivations behind content. A lot of people believe that it's truly money-driven, and an example they use is React content. Now, for a couple of years, I did React content. I did full streams on Twitch called YouTube Nights, where I'd go over either other YouTubers' content or weird, wacky, random videos we'd find around, and I'd make jokes about them, and I'd occasionally post the edited VODs on my channel. And that content, React content, is the most lucrative, most low-effort content you can ever make. Period. Full stop. I stopped doing React streams and React content about a year ago now, but no matter what, I've always got the Orochimaru curse mark on my body where I'm labeled a React streamer. Now, a lot of people say the reason I ever did React content in the first place was because of the money. It's very low effort and you make a ton of money off it. When that was never the case. As I explained back then, I only ever reacted to videos because it was fun to make jokes with the community about it and just kind of get silly with the content together. Kind of like a bunch of friends hanging out doing like their own little fucking Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of shit with these wacky YouTube videos we'd go over. And that was the only reason I did it. It took me a long time to get educated on exactly what kind of harm React content does to the entire creator ecosystem, and it's why I stopped doing it. It came at a cost to the creators, which I'd never wanted to do, and I never realized it did. So after watching plenty of videos from like Dark Viper as well as other content creators that have covered React content for a long time, I learned that it is not a good practice to engage in, so I stopped doing it entirely. Before anyone starts wagging their finger, there is still one piece of content that I do react to, I suppose, and that's news broadcasts. So like the occasional car chase, like police chase, or if there is a news story I'm covering that has an associated news broadcast, I will watch that. Occasionally a game trailer here and there, but that's it. I never watch other YouTubers' content or anything like that. I know there's plenty of fringe cases you can point to where someone whose content gets reacted to blows up, but that's still not the norm, and it's also still not really an acceptable fair transaction where you just kind of have to cross your fingers and pray that the person who reacts to your video somehow has an audience that will also translate to you. Like, that doesn't happen very often. It does happen from time to time, but it's still not exactly the most optimal of exchanges, I would say. So I stopped and apologized for doing that. But the reason I'm bringing it up now is because it's never been a money-driven thing behind any content I make. And then when it comes to trending topics and drama, if I'm covering it, it's because I'm having fun making jokes about it. Not because it's going to be big in the algorithm or anything like that. It's because it's a situation that I'm getting goofy with, making jokes about, and since I'm always fucking online, I just do it quickly, and it's very fun for me to do. It's never motivated by trying to be the first one to something and talk about it so that way it gets out there quickest. It's just always me sitting here just shooting the shit about something and having fun doing it. I'm not a fucking journalist. I am not a news anchor. I am a goober who sits here and just makes silly stuff out of silly subjects or whatever. And all of this ties in to these messages that individual sent me, because I really think they came from a place where he believed all I cared about was views and money. So if that's the case, why would I continue doing the Moist Wrestling League, which performs much worse than something simple like talking about drama? And it hurts me to know that anyone has that impression of me. If I'm making something, it's because it's coming from a place of genuine fun for me to make. I have just as much fun making shit now as I did when I started this channel, and I will just always keep doing whatever I have fun doing, regardless of how it might perform or what the views might look like relative to other things. That just doesn't matter as much to me as having fun. So I'm going to continue to put time, energy, money, effort into big, wild shit. And I'll keep making things like this too, because I have fun doing this, just talking to you guys and joking about some nonsense found in the rotted cesspool underbelly of the internet that we can all joke about and get silly with. All of it is just fun. So yeah, just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's about it. So yeah. Art is a word that's becoming more and more like the word literally. A word that is completely devoid of all meaning anymore. More specifically though, performance art and the overly pretentious art like the banana taped to a wall that sold for over $100,000, shit like that. So today's piece falls into that category, and what you're about to see is a scarily accurate look at how the Last Supper most likely went down. The Last Supper is a biblical meal that took place with Jesus Christ and his 12 members of his squad, and what you're going to see here is the modern interpretation of what we believe it looked like, what science tells us it most likely looked like. Now, the most notable difference that you've most likely already picked up on, there's not 12 attendees here for the dinner, there's only 4. The other 8 must have been caught in a Whole Foods and got lost, or maybe they were outside staring at a pile of dog shit that they thought was supposed to be art, but it really was just a dog that took a shit there. Regardless of the case, there's only 4 attendees here dining in. Ta-da, just what you ordered. A nearly naked lady with a side of grapes. A popular dish around these parts. I'm just saying, if I ordered this dish, I'd be a little upset because she started eating the food off of my plate, my appetizer, without even asking, first of all, and then she goes up and starts committing seppuku. Like, that, come on, that was not in the description on the menu. Also, the dude's face right here says it all. This is the kind of face you made as a kid when you'd get a gift that you really didn't like, but your aunt put a lot of effort into the gift, so you had to pretend like you were interested and happy with it, while you were just sitting there fucking awkwardly. Everyone knows the only gift anyone wants 100% of the time is the gift of checking out the best streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical. Come stop by and follow, I'd love to see you around, fuck yeah. I'm not entirely sure what she's handing out here, but it's definitely not Halloween candy. I think it's like sweet potato fries, but they're stale as shit. Sounds like a brick when she sets it down on the plates. So she cuts her stomach open to pass out more of the stale potato chips that she was keeping inside of herself. And, you know, this is very clearly symbolic of the sacrifice mothers go through to put food on the table for their family and the ones they most care about. I shouldn't have to explain the metaphors to you. You should just be able to understand it, and if you can't quite comprehend the beauty that you're seeing here in this art piece, well, maybe you're just not smart enough for it, and there's no shame in that. It's just, maybe it's just a bit too much for you and going over your little reptile brain. Yes, now I know on the surface this seems a bit goofy. You have these two couples on a double date, they go to the Olive Garden expecting to get more microwaved meals that the Olive Garden is famous for, but instead they get far more than they bargained for with a live human being who eventually joins them at the table for the meal and demands that they eat some of the plastic food. Yes, I get it's a bit silly, a little ha 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 in there, but to that I'd say you're not really breaking it down, so I'll do it for you here. Very clearly to me, what this is saying, it's speaking to the hypocrisy of the human eating behavior. Us as a species being hypocrites, we'll order this food, yes, but would we ever invite that food to eat food with us? Let me dive a bit further, if I may. The subtleties here are truly superb. I truly admire the bravery of the artist in this piece. It is excellently done. She's not afraid to put the dichotomy of what we eat versus who we eat with, and just have the two sides war against each other in this climactic battle that unfolds in this performance. So if I may, imagine you're dining out with your family and you've ordered yourself some beautiful dinosaur chicken nuggets. Well, you know, those chicken nuggets came from a live animal at one point. Would you then invite that live animal to eat with you? To the answer to that for most people is probably no, and that's a bit hypocritical that we will feed off of this beautiful creature and yet we won't feed with this beautiful creature. I don't see many people going to a barn and eating what chickens eat with the chickens, nor do I ever see chickens at a restaurant eating with families. You see, it truly is, when you break it down this way, hypocritical of us. Pardon me, I'd like to chime in one more time. As you could clearly hear her say, she is asking them to eat, feast upon the bountiful goods that she has supplied from her stomach, and yet no one's eating. In fact, all they'll do is drink. Now, I imagine logic would dictate the reason they're not eating is because she was rubbing her fucking hands all over the food when she first came out of the tinfoil school project or whatever that was. So the drinks were the only things that weren't having fingers all in them, unless she pranked all of them and peed in that shit beforehand, just took a fat old leaky piss in there. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I believe the artist is challenging us to really analyze human nature at its core. Humans are rebellious creatures, so by kindly asking them to eat, what do? Drink. They don't want to be told what to do. Everyone has a sense of individuality, and they don't want to be told, dictated, pulled on strings like they're a puppet being forced to dance. So when she asks them to eat, they drink. If she asks them to drink, they'd eat. It's quite impressive what she's able to capture with something so simple. And it's almost an allusion to what Van Gogh called the stinky finger. Van Gogh was famous for saying, "He with the itchy asshole will soon have the stinky finger." And I believe that this piece right here is really illustrating it in a way that I didn't even think possible. This is what's called a fuck you. She's eating your food because fuck you. And that's the lesson to take away from that little piece there. You gotta feel honestly bad for the people sitting at this table. They probably didn't know what they were signing up for. They probably thought it was gonna be something quick and just kind of spectators and painless, but they're really directly involved in something that's clearly making them all feel really embarrassed. Bravo indeed. This would deserve a standing ovation, but the four people here just didn't quite get it, I'd argue. What an incredible piece, and I tell ya, performance art has never been shittier. Also, I believe that clapping was added in post. No one at that table is clapping, nor in the background, and we've seen both sides of the table, and there's not like an audience just out of view of the camera. Not like there's like a whole fucking sold out row of bleachers with people going nuts with fucking foam fingers saying, you know, Last Supper performance art #1. She didn't like sell out a stadium we can't see, and no one is clapping on either side of the table. So I'm pretty sure that that was added in post because having it trail off in silence probably just looked bad. Goodness gracious, I tell you, it's easy to find meaning in anything, but that doesn't mean that it's good. You can pretty much break anything down to have some type of deeper meaning, but at its core, it could still be really bad, like this whole piece of performance art. I just don't really understand why this stuff is so popular and seemingly growing with the fucking banana thing taped to the wall. I just don't see how anyone could ever make an argument that that's good art. That's definitely some shit that a 9th grader would come up with when their artwork is about to be due, and they throw a desperate Hail Mary hoping the pretentious art teacher will lose his mind over something simple. Oh shit, I only have 5 minutes before class, I don't have anything, but I have this banana. Fuck, find me some scotch tape. No. Duct tape. Plants it on the wall and gets an A. It's just really shitty stuff, and I don't understand why it's still so popular. That's all, really. So yeah. What does the name Blippi mean to you? For most people, it means educational content for children right here on YouTube. But to me, it means 2 grown men in a bathroom playing with some forbidden fudge. Blippi is a massive content creator on YouTube that makes videos for kids. It's supposed to be educational content, and he has seen enormous success from it. However, before he was Blippi, he went by a very different name, a name that may still haunt some of you that recall the 2013 Harlem Shake trend, a name that may be burned into the very deepest parts of your brain that I'm about to unlock. Steezy Grossman. Now I want to be clear up front, this isn't me trying to expose Blippi. He's actually talked about this numerous times about how regretful he is for the video he made as Steezy Grossman, the now iconic shock video, Harlem Shake Poop. The reason I talk about it is because I find it to be an extremely entertaining topic because the video is so ridiculous. I don't think his past of making a shock video should affect his future and his current success in any way at all. It's not that big of a deal or anything, and it doesn't make him dangerous to be producing children's content or anything. It's just a really silly topic. So basically, in 2013, when the Harlem Shake trend was at its height, when it was taking the internet by storm, Steezy Grossman was making some gross videos, as the name would imply, and he hatched a nefarious idea, diabolical, to do the Harlem Shake, but then shit during it. But not just like shit on the floor, that's uninteresting. People do that all the time. Dogs do that. And what separates us from animals? Our creativity. So Steezy got to cooking. What if he took a shit into someone else's spread butthole? Now you can see the gears are turning. He's making a fine cuisine here of a viral video. And he did just that. Him and a friend go into a bathroom, his friend lays on the floor and throws his legs over his head, like a position out of the Kama Sutra. Steezy Grossman gets on top of a toilet, and by God, he fucking blasts his friend's ass with feces. And they're doing the Harlem Shake dance, so they're shaking around while he's getting shit on. And that's the whole video. That's the Harlem Shake poop. Now, there's no information that I can find on his friend. I don't know who that friend was, but they are a champion of strength to agree to something like this. What a warrior. I don't know if they died from it and Steezy hid the body, so we just never hear from that guy, but there is no information I can find on that mysterious individual. He is more mysterious than DB Cooper. I would love to know what happened to that guy. Like, what the fuck is DB Pooper in the Harlem Shake poop video doing right now? Like, because he has to see Blippi's success. And he has to know where Blippi came from. So, like, I can only pray that he is equally as successful in some kind of different venture. I don't really know. But anyway, I got to talking about this topic on stream the other night. And I just want to show the clips from it. Because I really do think the Harlem Shake poop event, the cataclysm, is so entertaining to talk about. Especially knowing that from that birthed one of YouTube's biggest children's content creators. It's just so fascinating. Did you see the Spanish politician that stepped down due to a video of him eating poop leaking out? Man, actually 2 girls, 1 cupped? No, I did not hear about that. Can I find it by typing in Spanish politician poop? Spanish politician resigns after resurfaced videos eating his own feces and asking to be humiliated. Man, you didn't have to eat shit. You could have just signed up for one of the alpha male boot camps. He's making a pog face. It looks like he took a bite out of the poop pile and then pogged. He said he wanted to be exposed, humiliated, and degraded. Well, that's the way to do it. I mean, eating poop and taking photos and whatever and posting them, that is how you will get that. If Blippi survived it, I'm sure this guy can too. Yeah, but Blippi wasn't eating poop. Like, if here, for those that don't remember, Blippi had a video a long time ago with his old persona. It was HarlemShakePoop.com. He did the Harlem Shake, and his shock was he shit into another guy's asshole. So he stood on top of a bathroom sink, and his friend, like, bent over, like, legs over head style, and Blippi diarrheaed into his butt for the Harlem Shake trend back in the day. And Blippi has clearly rebranded from that, and he's become enormously successful. He's now a massive kids YouTuber. But if Blippi in the Harlem Shake poop video was the man getting pooped in, he probably wouldn't have come back from it. He was the shitter instead of the shitty. So he was able to push forward unscathed. It's all about the positioning. They saved that for the Snyder cut. Yeah, they switched positions. We talked about this with Meat Canyon on the podcast a while ago, because he didn't know about it. I'm always surprised more people don't know that. That was a very popular video back then, too. It's like the #1, like, tidbit of Blippi lore. He's addressed it, I think, like 3 or 4 times now. He's talked about it. He's like, yeah, you know, it was a little wild back in the day. Regret it. Is what it is. Can't change it. He's like, yeah, you know, you're not wrong. Did their butts kiss? No, man. What? It was like their altitude was different. So Blippi was on the sink, shitting into the other guy's ass. So he, like, blew his shit into his hole. And it, like, runs down him and drips down him as they're, like, gyrating on the toilet. No, it was on the sink, wasn't it? I'm almost positive it was the sink, but it's been a little while since I've seen it. It might have been on the toilet. Can't quite recall now. Oh yeah, that's what it was. That's what he went by back then. Steezy Grossman. That's right. Steezy Grossman was his old persona before Blippi. But wouldn't he take it down if he regretted it? Yeah, but you kind of caught between a rock and a hard place at that point, because if you take it down, it's like you're trying to hide it. So, like, you could make an argument like, oh, you know, he's trying to brush his past away as opposed to just taking it head on like a man. And then you also have the other side where it's like, well, why wouldn't he take it down if he regrets it? So, like, you can't really win in that situation. So, I don't know. Maybe he just made the decision that ultimately made the most sense to him. It's not going anywhere. Like, it's been re-uploaded 1,000 times, even outside of HarlemShakePoop.com. Lol, the guy almost vomits at the bottom. Yeah, that guy got the absolute worst end of that bargain. Blippi went on to be this massively wealthy, successful kids channel. The guy that he shit in, who knows where he is? Man's probably under a bridge somewhere shaking his fist. Damn you, Blippi. Why Harlem Shake Poop? You ruined everything. He created his own supervillain. He probably also got some kind of infection from it, too. From Ouroborosing poop. Though, I will say, it's not like all of it went inside. It wasn't like a slam dunk. Like, a lot of the shit missed, mostly. And got, like, a lot on his cheeks and on, like, dripping down his thigh. First take, you think? I would say most likely first take. I would say with a high level of confidence, they probably went with the first take wonder on that one. I know. It's always surprising me more people don't know that. People have talked about that for a long time. But somehow it always just, like, falls to the wayside out of the public consciousness. Probably just because it is so yucky. I think he explained how they came to that idea. I'll double check. Like, the process of making the Harlem Shake poop. Because you'd have to wonder who would agree to be the guy that's getting shit on. Yeah, there's even a whole section dedicated to it on the Wikipedia. The 2013 video performed the Harlem Shake on a toilet and defecated on a naked friend. It was unearthed by BuzzFeed in 2019, and he said, at the time I thought this sort of thing was funny, but really it was stupid and tasteless, and I regret having ever done it. Oh, it turns out he actually did use DMCA takedown notices to remove the video from social media. But the website's still up, isn't it? Maybe he just re-uploads. He's like, you know, if you guys are going to see it, I want you to go to the source. I want you guys to still support my domain. The report reveals how John Grossman's character featured in a number of adult-themed comedy skits and videos with names such as Turd Boy and Underwear Man, One video in particular entitled Harlem Shake Poop shows Grossman taking part in a particularly nasty version of the popular internet meme. The online challenge from 2013 consisted of one person dancing, and it just explains that. Yes, I did make out gross out comedy videos when I was in my early 20s, long before I started Blippi. At the time, I thought this sort of thing... Yeah, okay. I've grown up a lot since then, and I trust people see me as the person I am now, not the idiot I was back then. I really thought he talked more about it. So I guess we'll never know how they decided who would be the one on the toilet and who would be the one on the floor. It'll remain a mystery. How much would you do it for? Have someone poop in me? I don't think there'd be enough money for that. I'm already a hypochondriac as is. I don't know if you could pay me enough for that. I'd be so afraid. $100 million. I mean, yeah, I guess $100 million, but that's not like a reasonable amount. No one would ever pay that. I think the guy was talking within like a realm of reason of like sick fetishists. No one would ever pay $100 million to Hershey squirt in my ass or anything. P. Diddy would. Not even P. Diddy would. P. Diddy would sooner send a League of Assassins to force me to do it for free than pay $100 million for the privilege. It doesn't matter if you're a big sports fan or what team you root for. Maybe you root for the fucking Orlando Score Masters, or maybe you pulled for the 49ers or the Chiefs. Doesn't matter. I think we can all agree that Super Bowl commercials are truly awful these days and just suck some fat asshole. They're not enjoyable, and I think it's very clear that the age of creative, entertaining advertising during the Super Bowl is truly dead. Look no further than Baby Nut. Super Bowl commercials are like the Saturday Night Live of advertising now. Safe, not humorous, suck shit. Almost every commercial could be boiled down to one thing: celebrity selling product. And not in a creative way like they used to. It all honestly felt like celebrities being held at gunpoint or being threatened by Harvey Weinstein to fake enthusiasm over some boring-ass products. Oh, here's Chris Evans doing a goofy accent talking about a car. Here's Rick and Morty in a Pringles commercial. God's not real, but Pringles are, Morty. They didn't even bother to go that far. It was literally just, here's Rick and Morty and some Pringles. It's just super uninspired, lazy, safe shit. It's bad. It's not good. But it didn't used to be that way. The reason Super Bowl commercials got the reputation they used to have is because it was a platform for these companies to take risks and do something creative to get people excited about the commercials themselves, which in turn gets them excited about the products. For example, GoDaddy. GoDaddy used to take some big fucking risks during the Super Bowl. And whether you agree with the approach or not, they at least made it memorable. For example, I remember vividly one year, probably one of my first boners. During one of the Super Bowls, one of the GoDaddy commercials was people in a courtroom, a girl with some fat honkers. I'm talking some big milkers. Was in a courtroom, judge was talking about some shit, swinging a gavel. Every time he'd swing the gavel, fucking strap would fly off of her shirt, and the tits would jiggle a little bit like it was Dead or Alive, titty physics on the Xbox 360. And then right before the whole thing just fell off and the tits and nipples were on full display, it said, go to GoDaddy to see the rest. And you bet your sweet ass I sprinted over to the family computer, yelled at my mom, get the fuck off the phone, you're ruining the dial-up connection. Tell dad not to flush the toilet, I'm trying to use the internet. Just so I could go on GoDaddy and finish that shit. And whether or not you agree with their approach, it was risk-taking. And it's not just GoDaddy, but that's a very prominent example. Doritos used to have some really creative shit, such as the Dorito Samurai. They had so many creative commercials that people would talk about the next day. So much so, there were entire show segments dedicated to counting down the best Super Bowl commercials. That is what Super Bowl advertising used to be. People were excited to see it. Some people that didn't give a fuck about sports would watch Super Bowl just to see the commercials. Do you realize how absurd that is these days? Everyone hates commercials. Everyone's always hated commercials, but the Super Bowl used to be the exception because that shit was wild. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining. It was fun. It was really good. But nowadays, these commercials have gone back to just being super safe, boring, uninteresting, formulaic garbage. I honestly think if you counted every Super Bowl commercial, you would find that about 90% used a celebrity to promote the product, but in the most uninteresting ways possible. I also really would be surprised if any of these celebrities gave a shit about the fucking products they were advertising. I don't think a multi-millionaire is using the same kitchen utensils that they're selling because they haven't seen a fucking kitchen in ages. They just have a personal chef in there cooking them custom meals from the nutritionist that they keep in their basement. I don't don't think they're using the products, but it's very effective for people to, for some reason, get on the side of the product. I don't really know why, but it is effective. I will say the only celebrity commercial I thought was decent, at least, was the Jason Momoa one. At least that had an ounce of creativity to it and was pretty decent. Otherwise, they all just sucked fuck. Terrible. And I used Baby Nut as an example earlier. I'd like to expand upon that now. Baby Nut is the most shameless shit, and Planter is a pussy company. I have no respect for them now. They did a pretty cute thing by killing off Mr. Planter in some action hero fucking sacrifice where he falls off a cliff and explodes. That's cute. Fine. Decent little marketing campaign, but then to immediately bring him back as a Baby Nut to kind of cash grab off Baby Yoda, then have him go on Twitter Live to try and take suggestions from Twitter people on what he should do, and they had like a fucking intern in a mocap suit trying to match the suggestions. Are you fucking serious? That's the dumbest shit of all time, and is so shameless. It's so terrible. It's fucking bad. The desperation from these companies to try and capture some of the magic of some of the shit before, or some of the current trends, it's despicable. It's despicable shit. And Baby Nut should be ashamed. The man in that mocap suit probably, I mean, he's going to have a tough time sleeping. The shit that he saw on Twitter Live, I tuned in for 1 second just to see some of the suggestions. That guy's got to be feeling all types of ways. He's going to have to be going to therapy after reading that shit in a Baby Nut mocap suit. But anyway, the point I want to make is Super Bowl commercials are dead, and I think people realize that now. No one gets excited about them. I mean, shit, even go back in time on Reddit. Reddit's a pretty humorless place in general, but if you just go back to the front page of Reddit back in like 2010, 2011, after the Super Bowl, the front page was almost all those advertisements that people loved, because a lot of them were just really fucking good commercials and good entertainment, even if you don't like the product. Nowadays, you don't have that. You don't have that during the Super Bowl anymore. This is like the 5th year in a row of just straight shit. Just fucking diarrhea it out, by the numbers marketing garbage that no one is really resonating with. Because it's just bad. It's the same commercials you get all year round on the fucking archaic platform like TV, and you're still getting this shit-ass commercial shit. And for the biggest stage possible, you don't even bother to put effort into a good one. It's insulting. And especially to shit on the legacy of great Super Bowl commercials, ugh, makes me sick to my stomach. And I just kind of wanted to vent about that. At least the Super Bowl itself was pretty good, and I'm glad the Chiefs won. I was pulling for them. Fucking Tony Gonzalez, that's the only reason I care about the Chiefs. Tony Gonzalez made a VHS tape on how to catch the ball better, and when I was a kid, I watched the fuck out of that VHS tape. So thank you, Tony Gonzalez, for that tape, and good shit, Chiefs, for pulling it home. That's about it, baby. See ya. It doesn't matter if you're a big sports fan or what team you root for. Maybe you root for the fucking Orlando Score Masters, or maybe you pulled for the 49ers or the Chiefs. Doesn't matter. I think we can all agree that Super Bowl commercials are truly awful these days and just suck some fat asshole. They're not enjoyable, and I think it's very clear that the age of creative, entertaining advertising during the Super Bowl is truly dead. Look no further than Baby Nut. Super Bowl commercials are like the Saturday Night Live of advertising now. Safe, not humorous, suck shit. Almost every commercial could be boiled down to one thing: celebrity selling product. And not in a creative way like they used to. It all honestly felt like celebrities being held at gunpoint or being threatened by Harvey Weinstein to fake enthusiasm over some boring-ass products. Oh, here's Chris Evans doing a goofy accent talking about a car. Here's Rick and Morty in a Pringles commercial. God's not real, but Pringles are, Morty. They didn't even bother to go that far. It was literally just, here's Rick and Morty and some Pringles. It's just super uninspired, lazy, safe shit. It's bad. It's not good. But it didn't used to be that way. The reason Super Bowl commercials got the reputation they used to have is because it was a platform for these companies to take risks and do something creative to get people excited about the commercials themselves, which in turn gets them excited about the products. For example, GoDaddy. GoDaddy used to take some big fucking risks during the Super Bowl. And whether you agree with the approach or not, they at least made it memorable. For example, I remember vividly one year, probably one of my first boners. During one of the Super Bowls, one of the GoDaddy commercials was people in a courtroom, a girl with some fat hunkers, I'm talking some big milkers, was in a courtroom, judge was talking about some shit, swinging a gavel. Every time he'd swing the gavel, fucking strap would fly off of her shirt, and the tits would jiggle a little bit like it was Dead or Alive titty physics on the Xbox 360. And then right before the whole thing just fell off and the tits and nipples were on full display, it said, go to GoDaddy to see the rest. And you bet your sweet ass I sprinted over to the family computer, yelled at my mom, get the fuck off the phone, you're ruining the dial-up connection. Tell dad not to flush the toilet, I'm trying to use the internet. Just so I could go on GoDaddy and finish that shit. And whether or not you agree with their approach, it was risk-taking. And it's not just GoDaddy, but that's a very prominent example. Doritos used to have some really creative shit, such as the Doritos Samurai. They had so many creative commercials that people would talk about the next day. So much so, there were entire show segments dedicated to counting down the best Super Bowl commercials. That is what Super Bowl advertising used to be. People were excited to see it. Some people that didn't give a fuck about sports would watch Super Bowl just to see the commercials. Do you realize how absurd that is these days? Everyone hates commercials. Everyone's always hated commercials, but the Super Bowl used to be the exception because that shit was wild. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining. It was fun. It was really good. But nowadays, these commercials have gone back to just being super safe, boring, uninteresting, formulaic garbage. I honestly think if you counted every Super Bowl commercial, you would find that about 90% used a celebrity to promote the product, but in the most uninteresting ways possible. I also really would be surprised if any of these celebrities gave a shit about the fucking products they were advertising. I don't think a multi-millionaire is using the same kitchen utensils that they're selling because they haven't seen a fucking kitchen in ages. They just have a personal chef in there cooking them custom meals from the nutritionist that they keep in their basement. I don't think they're using the products, but it's very effective for people to, for some reason, get on the side of the product. I don't really know why, but it is effective. I will say the only celebrity commercial I thought was decent, at least, was the Jason Momoa one. At least that had an ounce of creativity to it and was pretty decent. Otherwise, they all just sucked fuck. Terrible. And I used Baby Nut as an example earlier. I'd like to expand upon that now. Baby Nut is the most shameless shit, and Planter is a pussy company. I have no respect for them now. They did a pretty cute thing by killing off Mr. Planter in some action hero fucking sacrifice where he falls off a cliff and explodes. That's cute. Fine. Decent little marketing campaign, but then to immediately bring him back as a Baby Nut to kind of cash grab off Baby Yoda, then have him go on Twitter Live to try and take suggestions from Twitter people on what he should do, and they had like a fucking intern in a mocap suit trying to match the suggestions. Are you fucking serious? That's the dumbest shit of all time, and is so shameless. It's so terrible. It's fucking bad. The desperation from these companies to try and capture some of the magic of some of the shit before, or some of the current trends, it's despicable. It's despicable shit. And Baby Nut should be ashamed. The man in that mocap suit probably, I mean, he's going to have a tough time sleeping. The shit that he saw on Twitter Live, I tuned in for 1 second just to see some of the suggestions. That guy's got to be feeling all types of ways. He's going to have to be going to therapy after reading that shit in a Baby Nut mocap suit. But anyway, the point I want to make is Super Bowl commercials are dead. And I think people realize that now. No one gets excited about them. I mean, shit, even go back in time on Reddit. Reddit's a pretty humorless place in general, but if you just go back to the front page of Reddit back in like 2010, 2011, after the Super Bowl, the front page was almost all those advertisements that people loved because a lot of them were just really fucking good commercials and good entertainment, even if you don't like the product. Nowadays, you don't have that. You don't have that during the Super Bowl anymore. This is like the 5th year in a row of just straight shit. Just fucking diarrhea it out, by the numbers marketing garbage that no one is really resonating with. Because it's just bad. It's the same commercials you get all year round. On a fucking archaic platform like TV, and you're still getting this shit-ass commercial shit. And for the biggest stage possible, you don't even bother to put effort into a good one. It's insulting. And especially to shit on the legacy of great Super Bowl commercials, ugh, makes me sick to my stomach. And I just kind of wanted to vent about that. At least the Super Bowl itself was pretty good, and I'm glad the Chiefs won. I was pulling for them. Fucking Tony Gonzalez. That's the only reason I care about the Chiefs. Tony Gonzalez made a VHS tape on how to catch the ball better, and when I was a kid, I watched the fuck out of that VHS tape. So thank you, Tony Gonzalez, for that tape, and good shit, Chiefs, for pulling it home. That's about it, baby. See ya.
There's a video floating around right now that has to be the worst celebration I have ever seen. Now, something I've said for a while that no one really thinks about is that celebrations can sometimes be dangerous. I remember there was a very famous case where a football player had scored, I think it was the game-winning touchdown, and his team, in all of their hype and like excitement, dogpiled him like it was a scene out of The Waterboy, and ended up like breaking his pelvis. And I think that ended his career. But I also will never forget when I was a kid, I actually watched Bill Gramatica, who was the kicker for the Cardinals at the time, tear his ACL through a very simple celebration after a first quarter field goal. So what happened with Bill Gramatica is he kicked his field goal, he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, and then to celebrate, he did one of these. How wild would that have been if I blew out my ACL doing it? But he gave a little leap, pumped his fist, and upon landing, blew out his ACL, MCL, DVD, VHS, CBS, and BBL like absolutely annihilated his knee, and his career was never quite the same. But even with these historic celebration blunders, the one I'm about to show you today, I still feel is worse.
5 points go to Shane Byrne, 20 to Alex Lowe's, Josh Brooks on 16, Kirkham 13, Bridewell 11, Keith Farmer on 10, and the rest down to 10th place Josh Waters. Shaky Byrne then the 42nd race win of his British Superbike career, the perfect start as Josh Brooks there giving very unkindly dousing the MCE insurance girls who sensibly got their crash helmets. Oh dear me, they haven't got that crash helmet under there, Shaky, thank you very much. Alex Lowe's in 2nd place there, Samsung Honda, very sensibly realising with about 4 laps to go that Shaky had the legs on him and he would just...
You ever get so excited you just sexually assault someone? Like, I'm pretty sure that would be classified as sexual assault, right? Like, you can't just start putting things up people's orifices without their consent, no matter what the context is. Like, this is clearly not in the script. He, like, goes under her skirt and then blasts the champagne shower there like some kind of geyser, like a volcanic eruption. That's just downright diabolical, and I know it was probably painful, too. Now, I've never butt-chugged, but I have to imagine getting alcohol forcibly shot up your asshole is going to hurt. And contrary to popular belief, I don't have a vagina, but if I did, I would imagine that would be equally as painful, having all of that shot there, too. It would sting and burn. Like, if I was getting alcohol being blasted up my bussy, I'm screaming. Like, let's say Moist Esports wins the Apex World Championship this year, and Matt decides to celebrate by hitting me with, like, the 1,000 years of pain. I'm pressing charges. Now, real quick, I want to jump in here and give all of you watching something to celebrate. Plague Seeker Issue 1 is here. My newest comic book series. It's 80 pages of just the most beautiful, most over-the-top, fucking violent, raw action you'll ever see in a comic book. I swear to God. As I mentioned with Plague Seeker, I was heavily inspired by Berserk for this one. And every single page of this is just a masterpiece. The artist, Vampire Tranel, absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like, no matter where you go in here, it's like a beautiful piece that you'd want to hang on your wall. So, issue 1 is here. You can find it at badegg.co. It's written by myself and Jackson, and the entire team put together something super special here. The artist is Vampire Tranel, extremely talented. The lettering is done by Dave Sharp. So yeah, definitely go pick up a copy at Plague Seeker. There'll be a link to it in the description, badegg.co. Also, it's more than just action, by the way. It's just, I think the action in issue 1 goes so fucking hog wild, like Insano style, that I can't help but mention it. Now, admittedly, I'm not super familiar with Superbike and the traditions when it comes to celebrations, but I still feel terrible for these podium girls here, because for some reason, all 3 of the dudes on stage there are showering just them in the champagne, and it doesn't seem like they like it, and even the announcer was like, oh my, that is very unkind. To the first guy who's just behind him super soaking them with the champagne, he's just sitting there using them like target practice for it. For some reason. Like, is that normal? Is that what they're there for? Just to be like a sponge for champagne? That sucks. But even if that is the role that they agreed to, they clearly did not agree to having someone go underneath and like violate them with champagne. That is very much crossing a line. That is not part of their contract, I imagine. The whole celebration is just weird from all 3 of them. So obviously the main guy who goes under her skirt, his name is Shane Byrne, or Shaky as they call him. But the other 2 guys as well. I don't really understand it. All of them targeted the 2 podium girls, when in every other celebration for every other sport, usually the champagne shower is towards the crowd, or like each other, or like their team. Not just like the 2 girls standing there at the podium. It just feels weird, but for some reason, all 3 of the dudes just come up and start, like, blasting them with champagne like they had a grudge against them. It was like a hazing ritual or something. They were, like fucking bullying them with the champagne. Maybe they were, you know, bad blood between them or something, but it just seemed, like, brutal. Like, it seemed like they had, like, a bone to pick with them. Now, after this started to make the rounds in 2021, Shaky did come forward to issue an apology in regards to the situation.
I'm aware of a video that's currently circulating on social media of myself in 2013 where I inappropriately sprayed a promotional lady with champagne on the podium. I'd like to say I deeply regret what I did that day and I'm truly sorry. I'd like to apologise not just to the lady but to the other women on the podium that day, to all of my fans and to anybody else that's been offended by my actions. I can only apologise and I'm truly sorry.
Super short, super simple, just saying that he deeply regrets what he did, he apologizes for it, says sorry to all those affected, and is trying to close the book on all of it. I still can't quite wrap my head around how this celebration even crossed his mind as appropriate or some kind of good idea. Like, I understand getting lost in, like, excitement, right? Like, I've celebrated some super important achievements in my life, like checkmating XQC in 6 moves and then going on to win the entire chess tournament, which is where the entire throbbing celebration from me came from. But at no point was I ever so excited that all common sense and reasoning just went out the window. I understand celebrations that lead to injury far more than I understand this celebration that led to an enema. Like, Bill Grammatica celebrating like, yeah, and then blowing out his ACL, I get, like, you're fucking pumped, you jump and you hurt yourself. Unlucky. Or another football player, I remember, got like a sack, and then he jumped up in the air and stomped both feet down, and he like broke his leg doing it. Those I get. Like, you're excited, you've let out a bunch of steam all at once, and then you end up just breaking your body from it. But this, he was so excited that he just goes to like fucking Neanderthal brain. He's like, whoa! And then like shoots champagne up her butthole. That shit just doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, I saw this today, and I just had to talk about it a little bit. That it has to be the worst celebration I've ever seen. Again, I feel horrible for the 2 podium ladies during this, because this shit is cruel. This looks awful. Now, I do want to just mention again, Plague Seeker Issue 1 has been a passion project for about 2 years now, so to see Issue 1 finally be out there, I'm super excited for all of you to get your hands on it and get to read it. I'm also going to go ahead and drop the animation we had made for the initial release for issue 0, because I think that this animation just goes so fucking hard, and it also just sets the stage for what Plague Seeker is about, for any of you that are curious.
1,000 years ago, humankind ruled the earth. Even in their failings, they prospered across the planet. But that would all change in the blink of an eye. Those who persevered beyond the impact never truly survived. The mutations made them something more than human. It drove them mad. Those closest to the calamity were transformed completely. Known as plagues, their overwhelming power leaves all helpless as they seek to dominate our world. The worst of them were born where nothing had the right to survive. Terrifying beings known to us as the Great Plagues. 8 in total spread themselves across the planet, each ruling their own territory. Without mercy, they shaped our world. And yet there was one that not a soul dare speak of. Born at the very center of the impact. A plague far different than all the others. He bore the strongest curse of them all. An insatiable hunger to devour the other 8.
There's no combination of words scarier than Netflix live-action anime. Just saying those words maybe put some vomit in the mouths of many of you watching. It's like audible epicac. It is historically a disaster. And not just Netflix live-action anime, but taking any anime and making a live-action is always a huge risk that very rarely pays off. For nearly 2 decades, we suffered the curse of terrible adaptations. Just unbearable, vile stink like Dragon Ball Evolution. God rest the soul of all spectators who were subjected to that torture. But recently, it's been kind of changing a bit, most notably with the One Piece live-action Netflix series, which many of you know I was a firm non-believer in. I was 100% R-atheism, wiggling my finger, no, actually, that gospel doesn't make any sense, you can't take One Piece and make a good live-action out of it. And how wrong I was. When I finally watched it, my heart grew 3 sizes like the Grinch, and now I do think it is possible, but with the right team in place. And that brings us to today, with me sitting in your lap, bouncing up and down, ready to share my opinion on Netflix live-action Yu Yu Hakusho adaptation. It came out a little less than 2 weeks ago, and unfortunately flew under the radar for most people. Now, Yu Yu Hakusho is an anime series I've talked about a lot for a long time. It was one of the first anime I watched along with Dragon Ball Z, and the show really kind of blew my mind. It was my first entry into darker kinds of content, I suppose, which is a really stupid thing to say now, but as a child, you had things like demons in here, which to me was like super taboo, like demons from hell? Or, excuse me, from heck? Ooh, goodness gracious. And blood? Oh, and Yusuke Urameshi, the main character, used to say things like, I'm gonna beat your ass, and I was like, ass? Doesn't he mean butt? You can't say ass on television. Oh, goodness gracious, zoinks. It was a really, like, important show to me. So this had massive shoes to fill, and I had no hope for it whatsoever. I had my doubts. And now that it's here, I can tell you, it's better than I expected, but it's also not amazing. So, what they did is they condensed basically 70 episodes worth of the anime into 5 episodes for the Netflix adaptation here, which means the entire narrative was doomed for failure. They had absolutely no opportunity to breathe any level of depth into the characters, so if you're not familiar with Yu Yu Hakusho going into it, you will not give a fuck about any of the really flat, non-fleshed out characters that are presented here, which is a damn shame. The plot to the show is like if you asked someone who watched Yu Yu Hakusho on Toonami when they were a kid to try and recall the most important moments of the first 70 episodes, that's what would have been spit here, just like the most notable highlight moments of it just haphazardly thrown together. So there is no actual building of character relationships at all. Things just happen immediately because they need to get to the next part. Nothing feels earned. It feels more like you're being pushed through a Yu Yu Hakusho amusement park ride and catching some of the best of highlight moments as you're going through. It's just none of the emotional weight that was present in the show, or really none of the actual building up to anything is in the show. Everything just happens lickety-split. We're moving a million miles per hour because they just didn't have a whole lot of time here. Everything is so tight, tighter than my bussy. Like, they had 70 episodes that they needed to somehow make a story for and fit into 5, while capturing all of the moments that you would want to see in live-action Yu Yu Hakusho, which, to their credit, they did do. They did have most of the biggest moments that I would have liked to see live-action. They did have them here, and they actually did look great. I'm going to get to all the compliments in a moment. I want to get my biggest complaint out of the way here. It's really just how rushed everything is. As a fan of Yu Yu Hakusho, you're going to start questioning, like, oh, yikes, why would they do that? Why is that happening? Like, they have tiddlywinks of lore from Yu Yu Hakusho that need to be there, but they're not there in the way they should be, so it just doesn't really work when taking 70 episodes and making 5 out of it. It's just, that's disastrous. But I think it's only a problem people will have if they like Yu Yu Hakusho going into this. If you didn't ever read the manga or watch the anime, I don't know how you'll respond to it. I've only mainly seen reviews from fans of Yu Yu Hakusho that have checked this out because, like I said, this flew super under the radar, so it hasn't hit like a mainstream audience that's unfamiliar with it. So right now it's mainly people like me who love Yu Yu Hakusho that are pretty disappointed that they went this direction with their plot. By far the biggest, like, capital crime, like an unforgivable sin, is they have the Dark Tournament in the live action by like episode 3. The Dark Tournament arc in Yu Yu Hakusho, I think, is the best tournament arc in any anime ever, period. It still holds up extremely well to this day. And that's here in the live action, kind of. They skip everything except the end. So the Dark Tournament's there, and they immediately fast forward to the very end. Granted, the very end of the Dark Tournament arc is the most hype, and it's super hype in the show, but like, come on. If you're skipping all of that, you miss so much character building, so many great fights, so many great moments, and a lot of absolutely crucial, crucial character pieces. It's just, you know, a bit of a miss there to do that. But again, I get why, because they only had 5 episodes to work with. It just, I can't help but be a little disappointed narratively from everything here. But with all of that out of the way, let me get to what I liked about it, and there is quite a bit. I think this is one of the most stylish, like, action shows I've watched in a while. I love the fight choreography here. From the very beginning, in episode 1, it becomes clear that they're trying to do something pretty special when it comes to their action. Actually, even aside from just its action, they really stylize everything in a really cool way. All of their visuals are super impressive and pretty unique. Just from the very beginning, too, like when Yusuke sacrifices himself to save the life of a child who's playing in the street and about to be hit by a truck. What I expected to happen would be following the anime where he like dives in front, pushes the kid out, and then like fade to black, you hear the car crash, and then it's his corpse. Like, no! Well, that is not how it unfolds in the live action. They said none of that Weenie Hut Jr. garbage. So what happens in live action is he pushes the kid out of the way, and he gets blasted by the truck, and they don't pull any punches on it. So you see him get hit by a truck and then get caught under the wheels. So then the truck starts bouncing over his corpse as he's like tumbling, getting all scratched up, scraped up, blood pouring out of his skull. And they never like cut away from it or use any camera tricks. It actually just looks like somebody getting hit by a fucking truck. I wouldn't be surprised if a story came out next week where they interview the stuntman that they just hit with this vehicle and filmed. It looks that realistic to me. Like, I've never seen something like that captured in that way, especially not for a live action anime. They did go hard. And even outside of just spectacular choreography, and again, the choreography really is super hype, every fight in this show is pretty gorgeous and pretty beautiful. They don't just go for standard approach to fights, they make a spectacle out of it. Like, I was blown away by just how good the fights were. And what's wild is the CGI is also pretty good. This is something I always say never works in live action because it's always going to look corny or more like an Adobe After Effects from a student project thing when you're trying to take like a spirit gun and put the spirit gun effects on it. It works in anime because, obviously, but when you have a real person and like CGI on it, that shit is always looking fucking trash. Actual dog nuts. But somehow, in here, they kind of nail it. Like the spirit gun and all of the other moves that I kind of expected to be really laughably bad looking really hit. Like, they look very good. I'm shocked at how great they were able to make the CGI look in this show. So hats off to them for that, because it didn't look corny or stupid at all when they're using some of their biggest moves, their flashiest moves that require CGI. It kind of slaps. Really, the show overall has all of these extremely tasty, flavorful ingredients that should have made for a wonderful dish, but the recipe's just kind of trash. The plot, the narrative that holds it all together. It's just taking so much and condensing it so quickly into such a short period of time. You can't really tell a good story with good characters. You just don't have time to. It's such a fucking shame, because everything else I really do think is pretty solid overall. Like, to give you another example, like, I'm, of course, still speaking from the perspective of someone who really likes Yu Yu Hakusho, so maybe these aren't complaints that someone that's never watched it will have, but the biggest one that stands out to me as like a, wow, they're really rushing this, is Ginkai gives Yusuke the orb. And in the live-action anime, it's basically no big deal. It's basically a handshake at that point. It's just like, hey, here it is. Okay, cool, thanks, Ginkai. Appreciate it. In the anime, getting to that point is no easy journey, and when Ginkai finally does give that orb, it is an extremely emotional moment that leads to a very, very, very important series of things that unfold. I'm trying not to spoil things, even though it's a super old anime. I still always recommend it, so if you've never seen Yu Yu Hakusho, definitely fucking watch the anime. But seeing a moment like that, which is such a big deal in the anime, come to life in the live action, what a wet fart. Like, I can't even say it came to life. They basically necromancied it and brought back a fucking soulless husk of that moment. Like, at that point, why even include it? You could have just gone a different direction entirely. Like, I think it's just really insulting to take something like that and do it the way it does in the live action. But once again, I've said this 3 times now, this is just from someone who really likes the anime. If you've never seen it, that might not be an issue to you, and you might think that that moment in the live action is cool. I don't really know. But I really wish if they were going to do this, they gave it more time. Like, maybe with 8 episodes, they could have had it breathe a bit more and offer more depth here. But 5 is just, that was never going to work. You'd need a whole season just to do the Dark Tournament arc if you wanted to follow the show in any, like, meaningful capacity. And I know that that's extremely expensive and was never going to happen. I just really wish they had a few more episodes to try a bit harder too. But overall, what they put out, I don't hate. Like, I actually like it far more than I thought I would. But you really have to just separate it entirely from the source material, because it's basically cameos at this point. Like, it doesn't really follow the source material. They're just cameos from the source material in there, and it uses the same characters and same world. So, you know, like I said, I think it's good mainly because it is carried heavily by its amazing action. Also, the acting I thought was really good for the most part overall. I want to mention that. I thought all of the performances felt pretty true to the characters, I will say. Like, I appreciated that. But it's carried by its action and its visuals, and I would have liked if they had a better plot around it. Even if you don't want to follow the source material that closely, I still think you could have done more to offer depth to the characters or the plot. So, yeah. Just wanted to give my thoughts on Yu Yu Hakusho live action. I think it's probably worth watching as a fan of the show or as someone who just wants to watch a really fun action show. And I'm also wanting to mention that I'm shocked we're entering an age where live action anime isn't immediately dead-on arrival garbage. Like, it's not just trash anymore. The One Piece live action may have ushered in this fucking golden age of good anime adaptations. It proved that you can do it, and now we've got another one here that gets pretty close to doing something special. It just falls a little flat, losing its footing in the narrative plot department. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. So yeah.